Chapter 321. The Danxiang Taoyuan's Dean. The Danxiang Taoyuan's Dean. Xiao Ziliang and the other deans all felt very uncomfortable with the sudden appearance of a woman. Yu Zhonglin of the Proud Sword sect angrily shouted, "It's none of your business. Little girl, go and call your Danxiang Taoyuan's Dean over. We have created so much ruckus here, she must have obviously heard." Xiao Ziliang said. He too slightly glared at Hua Shangyu. Although Hua Shangyu looked stunning, he was not interested in the slightest. Tang Yichao sneered, "Hua Shangyu, you are not worthy to order us, don't even think about it, even if you are the supervisor of Danxiang Taoyuan." Tang Yichao just spoke till here, before his pupils fiercely contracted. Because he suddenly saw a light golden aura being released from Hua Shangyu. It was exactly the perishing golden body, which could only be released by someone who had crossed the seventh nirvana tribulation. "This is the site of Danxiang Taoyuan, neither of you can manage things here. Don't think that with your little strength, you can do anything you want. I'm not afraid of you." Hua Shangyu voice was ice cold and furious, which made Xiao Ziliang and the others retreat a few steps back. They all didn't expect that a little supervisor of Danxiang Taoyuan would be a seventh tribulation nirvana realm martial artist who was on par with Xiao Ziliang. Although Tang Yichao and Yu Zhonglin were deans, they had yet to cross their seventh tribulation. And at this moment, their complexion turned extremely ugly, their faces were burning hot, as if someone had given them a couple of slaps. Because just a moment ago they had underestimated Hua Shangyu, and much to their surprise Hua Shangyu was far stronger than them. The entire square was pin-drop silent. Underneath the stage these people knew Hua Shangyu must have something special as to why she could become the supervisor of the Danxiang Taoyuan. Who would have known that just with her imposing manner the deans of two sects had turned pale from fear? Although they didn't know Hua Shangyu's exact strength, from the looks of it, this pretty and charming woman was far stronger than the two men. Judging others with their own narrow vision, Chen Shang lightly snorted, which made Yu Zhonglin, Tang Yichao and Xiao Ziliang's faces suddenly turn completely red simultaneously. They all glared at Chen Shang. Hua Shangyu coldly said, "Chen Shang is an honorary chief alchemist of our Danxiang Taoyuan. Although he is not a disciple of our Danxiang Taoyuan, since he is the winner of the high-rank tournament, he can enjoy this title. Not to mention the Danxiang Taoyuan has the obligation to protect such a genius of the alchemist community. If you dare to act against him, you will become the enemy of our Danxiang Taoyuan." If just a supervisor was so much formidable, then the mysterious dean behind her must be even more powerful. "Dean Hua, ha, it should not have been so wrong to call you that. No doubt, you must be the dean of the Danxiang Taoyuan. I have seen you several times, although I've not seen your face, but I can still recognize you from your aura." Ji Yu Dongchen faintly smiled. What? Hua Shangyu was the mysterious dean of Danxiang Taoyuan. Chen Shang was dumbfounded, but when he thought about it, he soon came to understand why Lu Menger and Hua Shangyu would be so familiar. Because Lu Menger would often seek Danxiang Taoyuan's dean to refine dans. Xiao Ziliang and the others had also been extremely curious about the Danxiang Taoyuan's dean. But much to their surprise, it was unexpectedly Hua Shangyu. Now they understood why Hua Shangyu could do anything she wanted in the Danxiang Taoyuan. Her position at the Danxiang Taoyuan was same as the dean's, because she was the dean herself. However, she was just pretending to be mysterious, made others think that the Danxiang Taoyuan was unfathomable. "Humph, you've got a big mouth." Hua Shangyu coldly harumphed. She also didn't expect Ji Yu Dongchen would actually recognize her, this was totally out of her expectation. Xiao Ziliang and the others all felt very embarrassed simultaneously. Just a while ago they had been looking down on Hua Shangyu, but they didn't expect that Hua Shangyu's identity was so shocking. Not only her strength was fearsome, her alchemy techniques were just the same. Only two alchemists could refine high-level dans on the Qinwu mainland, one was the Danxiang Taoyuan's dean and the other was the extreme martial sect's elder Dan. Such people absolutely could not be offended. Who knows how many powerful Nirvana realm martial artists were still hidden in the Qinwu mainland. If she used her alchemy techniques to draw these Nirvana realm martial artists, her strength would be very fearsome. Not only was it like that in Qinwu mainland, in some mainland overseas, high-ranked alchemists were also very scarce. So long as Hua Shangyu so wish, a bunch of Nirvana realm martial artists would definitely come to seek her help in refining dans. Chen Shang was secretly enjoying himself. Hua Shangyu had given him a title of an honorary chief alchemist for safety, in future he would be fearless of these people. But he still had no way to see through Hua Xiongyu. In the first place, Hua Xiongyu had tried to win him over at all cost. She did not even hesitate to reveal her figure, yet more, she was even willing to be her maidservant. You'll certainly regret later. Originally when Chen Shang refused to take her as maidservant, she had said so. Chen Shang was now indeed regretting a little. If he had such a powerful maidservant, why would he be afraid? Dean Hua, can we borrow this place for use? We will release a barrier and absolutely will not damage this place. If it is damaged, we will pay you hundredfold. Xiao Ziliang very confidently said. Hua Xiongyu coldly smiled. It took 100 million crystal stones to create this square. If you damaged an iota of this place, are you really going to pay me 10 billion crystal stones? 10 billion crystal stones. When they heard this figure, a few deans secretly felt their heart throb in pain. Not only the square was very large, the bricks used were very hard. These kinds of bricks had been mined especially and gone through processing. Even the floor was very thick. Indeed, the square must have costed more than 1 million crystal stones. Ji Yu Dongchen laughed and said, I'm not going to help you laying out the barrier. After all, it was you who wanted to pick a fight with this brat. Is it that you can still force my hand, force me, the extreme martial sect's dean, to bully my own disciple? Chen Shang also smiled and said, you wanted to pick a fight with me. I'll only fight here. If you want me to go to some mountain or forest, then I quit. To make someone accept your challenge, a lot of conditions must be promised to the opposite party. This way of doing things was extremely unreasonable. You are just a true martial realm martial artist. Do you think the barrier laid out by us is still not enough to cope with you? If even a brick is broken by you, I'll pay 10 billion crystal stones to the Danxiang Taoyuan. Xiao Ziliang coldly harumphed. He had been suppressed by Ji Yu Dongchen and Hua Xiongyu, which made him extremely depressed and aggrieved. Ji Yu Dongchen was an 8th Nirvana Tribulation crossed martial artist, while Hua Xiongyu had crossed 7th Tribulation, yet she was also a brilliant alchemist. Both of them were far superior to him. While Xiao Ziliang was a character from Huang Jishan's era, the famous characters of that era if not ascended to the heavenly realm, then they had vanished into a puff of smoke during the Nirvana Tribulation. Although he is still living, he was extremely aggrieved and depressed, especially facing those juniors who were better than him. This made it difficult for him to hold his head high even more. Last time during the fight between Chen Shang and Lian Changyan, because the barrier happened to be laid down by 3 Nirvana realm martial artists, that was why no matter how much power he had used, he could not destroy an iota. So if he wanted to break a brick, it would indeed be very difficult. Yet Chen Shang wanted to try. This way he could make Xiao Ziliang bleed, and also give Hua Xiongyu 10 billion crystal stones, which for these deans was also a substantial sum. Good, now you can do whatever you want. Hua Xiongyu calmly said, before she flew away and returned to the 20th floor of the Danxiang Tower. Chapter 322, The Golden Sheathed Swordsman. The Golden Sheathed Swordsman. Chen Shang secretly despised Hua Xiongyu. She just willfully came down and spoke before taking her leave. In any case, he was still the honorary chief alchemist of the Danxiang Taoyuan. He thought what would happen, if happened to die. Hadn't she just said that the Danxiang Taoyuan had the obligation to protect him? This fight is related to our sect's honor. That's why our disciples will do everything to win. That's why this is a deathmatch. The opposite sect can't hold the other sect accountable. Xiao Ziliang said. He looked at Ji Yu Dongchen and Wu Keiming, while they just disapprovingly nodded their head. Only by defeating Chen Shang in front of so many people would they be able to completely rout Chen Shang, and render Ji Yu Dongchen speechless. This way they could also improve their sect's prestige. That was why Xiao Ziliang dared to create such a ruckus here. It was pretty obvious that Yu Zhonglin, Tang Yichao and the others from the very start had been colluding with Xiao Ziliang. However, they had still looked down upon Chen Shang. Now they were still oblivious as to how powerful Chen Shang was. In order to show their skills, they had encircled a very big area. At this point, Xiao Ziliang and the others began to release their strength to jointly lay out a barrier. Using a large amount of their strength, a huge shield just like an impregnable fortress was created. Not only would it block any shockwaves during the intense fight, it would also protect the bricks and the tiles, lest they got damaged. This was the common barrier laid down by the Nirvana realm martial artists for protection. Xiongyu, your secret is exposed now. Is it not going to affect you? That stingy bastard. Ji Yu Dongchen had a big mouth. Lu Menjie, seeing Hua Xiongyu return, immediately inquired. This is also not bad. Anyway, the big storm is coming. Letting them know is also not bad. Menger, when are you going to be crossing the tribulation? It is better if you could get it done before the arrival of the big storm. Hua Shangyu said. No idea, I'm doing all I can. But currently I'm not ready. Lu Menger sighed and said. Are all the spirit herbs you had bought during the auction are in Chen Zhang's hands? Hua Shangyu asked with a frown. Much to her dismay, Lu Menger had unexpectedly given such precious stuffs to Chen Shang. Of course, she was aware of Lu Menger and Chen Zhang's relations. It's nothing, anyway, I still had not gathered everything yet. The barrier had been laid out. Only Chen Shang stood alone inside, his opponent had yet to arrive. With just a glance at Xiao Ziliang and the other's expression, he knew they had long been prepared, or else they would not have made such a request. The first person to enter the barrier was an extremely handsome-looking young man with a long sword on his back. He was dressed quite luxuriously. His whole body was covered in a noble aura. From his forehead, it was evident that he was very proud. His scabbard was golden, which seemed extremely extravagant. Chen Shang frowned upon seeing the young man. And from the audiences in the square, waves of exclamation burst forth. If he could not recognize this young man, it was nothing but if he failed to recognize the golden scabbard, he would certainly be ridiculed by others for being ignorant. Golden-sheathed swordsman, Peng Shanwu? Chen Shang asked. Exactly, Peng Shanwu dismissively replied. His whole body was brimming arrogance, making the onlookers feel extremely uncomfortable. The golden-sheathed swordsman was the most famous young disciple of the proud sword sect. He was in the 6th level of the true martial realm. Not only was he very strong, he had a very powerful double-edged sword too. According to the rumors, it was a brilliant grade weapon, moreover, none had seen the sword out of the scabbard yet. You want to use the sword to fight with me? Chen Shang asked with a smile. He had just fused the Azure Dragon slaughtering devil blade with the dragon soul, he was worried he would not have the opportunity to test it. At this point, everyone remembered the frightening broadsword of Chen Shang. In everyone's opinion, it was also a powerful brilliant grade weapon, and many famed martial artists had died under his blade. The proud sword sect without a sword, was same as a martial artist without an arm. Their strength would be greatly reduced. But, if they were allowed to use the sword, then Chen Shang too could use his blade. Peng Shanwu glanced at Yu Zhonglin, before Yu Zhonglin nodded to him in affirmation. Noticing Yu Zhonglin's nod, a sliver of charming smile appeared on Lu Menger's face. She knew how formidable the Chen Zhang's Azure Dragon slaughtering devil blade was. Could it be compared with the brilliant grade weapon? Even if it was a legendary immortal weapon, it would be difficult to contend to, especially now that it had been fused with the dragon soul. I'll use the sword, you can use your blade too. But I hope you are as good as they say, and can force my sword out of the scabbard. Peng Shanwu scornfully looked at Chen Shang. A 6th level true martial realm martial artist using a 9th level spirit weapon would be proud enough, not to mention if he was using a very powerful brilliant weapon. Not to forget that the proud sword sect's guys had the arrogance deeply rooted into their bones. And if this kind of guy was allowed to use a brilliant weapon, how could his arrogance not be higher than the heavens? At this point, this was the case of Peng Shanwu. Thinking of himself, in possession of a powerful double-edged sword, he was looking down upon the world. Moreover, many famed young martial artists that he had faced in the past had all been miserably defeated under his sword, yet it should not be forgotten that his sword was still not out of its scabbard. A very bright smile appeared on Chen Zhang's face. Only Lu Menger understood this smile, and of course, Su Meiyao and the others needless to say. At this point, the double-edged sword, the pride of Peng Shanwu was already scrap iron in their eyes. Peng Shanwu quickly removed the golden-sheathed sword from his back, while Chen Shang too took out a long knife. Glimpsing at this knife, everyone felt extremely doubtful. Although this blade had an azure dragon carved upon it, it was rather small. It was a little like a long sword, yet it was not a sword, because its back was blunt like a knife and its tip was slightly curved. From looking at the knife, it was quite similar to Chen Zhang's treasured blade. However, the previous blade used to be very wide, and the blade body was similar to a sword. After the Azure Dragon slaughtering devil blade had been fused with the dragon soul, he could freely control the shape of the blade. Chen Shang had narrowed the blade a little, and he had done so in order to use it more flexibly. Previously, the huge appearance had been very domineering and daunting. But now it looked very ornamental. But it also appeared to be carrying a light arrogance, yet delicate and beautiful. Noticing Chen Shang was not using that rumored overbearing giant blade, Peng Shanwu thought Chen Shang was looking down upon him, that was why he was not using his most powerful weapon. making him feel that it was an insult to him. But he had forgotten that his sword was still in its scabbard. Wasn't he disrespecting others? Chen Shang had also intentionally changed its shape for a reason. He wanted to tell Peng Shanwu, "You do not deserve for me to use the broadsword." The proud sword sect's members had a very bad temper, so they were very easy to provoke. Once Chen Shang had flashed his weapon, he knew that he had been successful. Although the broadsword and the knife's power were just the same, however, he still felt that the broadsword was a little more domineering. However, at present he was too lazy to use that to deal with this little arrogant disciple of the proud sword sect, who is not even willing to let others take a look at his sword. "Chen Shang, I hope you do not die under my sword, so as to not let my sword be stained with another dead guy's resentment," Peng Shanwu coldly said, while pointing his sword at Chen Shang. Chen Shang, seeing the sword still within its sheath pointed towards him, he secretly sneered in his heart, "Wait, I'll let you die with your sword forever sheathed in that turtle shell-like scabbard." The golden-sheathed swordsman had been very famous a few years back, because Yu Zhonglin had always took him everywhere to compete. Many famous young true martial realm martial artists had suffered defeat. That was why many in the Chenwu mainland had heard of his deeds. And one could often hear them talking who would win if he and Chen Shang happened to fight. Now they had finally met. Chapter 323, Showing Mercy. Showing mercy. Peng Shanwu had a fortuitous encounter. He himself had obtained the brilliant weapon in his hand. Moreover, he had also learned a set of powerful sword technique. It was only because of that set of powerful sword techniques that he had never suffered a defeat before. Rumor has it that when the invisible sword technique is used, the sword will disappear from sight. Neither can it be seen, nor can it be felt. Isn't it the same as the soul martial technique? Chen Xian was secretly vigilant. If this was a forbidden martial technique, he would have to be on guard. After all, the opponent had a powerful weapon. "Start," Xiao Ziliang shouted. From the get-go, Peng Shanwu made the first move. In a very quick speed, he silently cleaved at Chen Shang. Although the sword was still sheathed, Chen Shang could still sense the oppressive slaughter chi that was emanating from the sword. Chen Shang heaved a sigh of relief, for he realized it was not the soul martial technique. Just the speed of Peng Shanwu's sword strikes was quite fast, so fast that even its shadows could not be discerned. However, Chen Zhang's divine sense was extremely strong. He could still sense his sword strikes. However, Chen Shang still could not react, because the sword thrust was coming at a very tricky angle from his left side. It was already too late to block it with the blade. When the Peng Shanwu's sword cleaved at Chen Zhang's arm, just a brittle sound was heard. He felt as if he was cleaving down upon a hard thing. The sword strike was apparently very strong. Even if it struck upon the black tortoise adamantine armor on his arm, a slight tremor still ran through the ground. Chen Zhang's left arm went numb from the shock. However, it was only for an instant. Peng Shanwu was very confident that his sword strike could not be resisted just by using the body. Yet Chen Shang had not been affected even just a little. At the very same instant Peng Shanwu was taken aback. Chen Zhang's right hand from behind his back tightly clasped his sword. After the scabbard had been caught, Chen Shang quickly mobilized his true chi and casted the profound aura finger. He wanted to break the sword along with the sheath, but he soon found out that the scabbard was incredibly hard. Peng Shanwu had not expected Chen Shang would actually be able to grab his sword, and even so tightly. No matter how much strength he used, he could not take it back. At this time, he ruthlessly gave a good kick at Chen Shang. However, just as he had kicked, he regretted it, for Chen Shang had already predicted it and countered it with a horizontal strike. Peng Shanwu hastily retracted his leg, but a deep bloodstain still appeared on his thigh. At this time, Chen Shang sensed a powerful shock wave being transmitted from Peng Shanwu's sword. His hands went numb from pain, leaving him no choice but to release the sword. Much to everyone's dismay, Peng Shanwu had been struck at the very start and happened to be bleeding. Since Peng Shanwu's quick sword was very famous, it came as a surprise to others. A moment ago his sword strike was indeed quite fast. Many among the audiences were not able to track the sword. Not to mention, even Chen Shang was not able to block it, and had to use his arm to forcefully block the lethal blow. What was most shocking was the fact that Chen Shang was unexpectedly not afraid of facing the sword with his body. Although it was a sheathed sword, the blow was quite powerful. Because it was evident just from the tremor. Even if Chen Shang had a brilliant armor and tempered his body, his arm must have suffered some injuries from the shock. Chen Zhang's arm was still numb. He gave a jerk to his arm and sneered, "Just this." I think you will have to remove your sword quite early. Peng Shanwu now came to realize Chen Shang was even stronger than the rumors. However, he still disdainfully said, "You're not worthy." While speaking, he rushed out just like an arrow, and just in a flash, he appeared in front of Chen Shang and thrust his sword at Chen Zhang's chest. His thrust was very fast, yet Chen Shang had already been prepared. Chen Shang was not slow himself, he fiercely waved his hand. Just as the sword was about to touch his body, his palm landed upon the sword's blade, before a thunderous bang resounded, which was followed by a golden flash shooting from one side of Chen Shang. Just a moment ago, the speed was too fast, it rendered everyone else without any time to react. They just saw a golden sword with its scabbard landing on the ground, which to everyone's dismay was Peng Shanwu's double-edged sword, which happened to be disarmed by Chen Shang. Although they had no idea what had happened, everyone bursted into exclamation one after the another. Chen Shang had already attained the perfection stage in the usage of the shocking heaven palm. Just a moment ago, the vibration from the shocking heaven palm had disarmed the sword in Peng Shanwu's hand. And since at that time Peng Shanwu had used a large amount of his strength, the backlash from the impact resulted in the power to burst open, numbing Peng Shanwu's arm and disarming the double-edged sword from his hand. Chen Shang's whole face was filled with happy expression, as if he was laughing at Peng Shanwu. Peng Shanwu coldly harumphed as he glanced at the far-away fallen double-edged sword, then walked over to pick up the sword. Just as Peng Shanwu was picked up the sword, Chen Zhang's figure disappeared. Peng Shanwu knew Chen Shang was still on the stage, it was just that his speed was exceptionally fast, making it difficult for others to capture his silhouette. However, occasionally Chen Zhang's flickering figure could still be glimpsed. The proud sword sex Yu Zhonglin was secretly sweating, for he realized Chen Shang was very strong, especially his speed. Suddenly, his complexion turned ugly. "Get back." Peng Shanwu upon hearing the dean's warning was shocked, and at the same time, he felt a dangerous aura enveloping his whole body, before an intense slaughter chi started pouring in. He wanted to dodge, yet he felt that something had wrapped around his feet. It was too late to check what had wrapped around his feet, he held the sword across to block the frightening knife strike of Chen Shang. This knife of Chen Shang was carrying a shocking amount of power, making others feel as if a giant wave was surging during a tsunami, as if it could destroy everything. This was the wave strike from the Dragon Slayer's 7 killing cuts. Its power was the most overbearing, cleaving down like a monstrous wave carrying an Armageddon's might. Peng Shanwu felt that he was just an ant in front of this monstrous wave. This kind of terrifying strength had smashed his proud heart, at this point he only felt fear. With a howl, Chen Shang chopped down. In that instant golden light bloomed everywhere, covering the sky and the earth, along with a deafening explosion, shaking the land. A golden flash gradually followed by a bloody trail that shot through the sky. It was as if the world had come to a standstill. After the golden light disappeared, everyone only caught the sight of Chen Shang, whose standing figure was giving off the impression as if he was a god of slaughter. In his hand was the slender azure dragon slaughtering devil blade with blood dripping from it, with Peng Shanwu kneeling on the ground in front of him. With one of his arm dismembered from his shoulder, and even his pride, the golden sheathed sword cut off from its hilt, with the sword still inside its scabbard. Chen Shang slightly raised his hand, pointing the blade at Peng Shanwu's throat, and said, "Your arm can still be reconnected, only your sword has been cut now, that's all. But so long as the sword in your heart isn't broken, you are still a swordsman. I'm not going to kill you, because you don't deserve to die under my knife." This was a death match. If Chen Shang so wished, he could dismember Peng Shanwu into two, but his azure dragon slaughtering devil blade didn't seem to allow him to do this. The azure dragon slaughtering devil blade was for killing the devils, not for slaughtering humans. Chen Shang had let go of Peng Shanwu. This way of conduct had earned him some admiration from the onlookers. Peng Shanwu clenched his teeth, picked up his arm and left the barrier. No matter how much Yu Zhonglin called him, he didn't even turn his head. This battle was a huge blow for him, but it would bring him a great deal of benefits. You don't have any enmity with him, he was only used by Yu Zhonglin as a gambling tool. You do not need to kill him, a big storm is about to come, the humans should not be killing each other. Bai Yu said. Although she was a she-devil cultivating devil techniques, she took no pleasure in mindless killing, she would not kill the innocents. Yu Zhonglin could not leave, for he was still needed in laying out the barrier. Now he hated Chen Shang even more, but he could do nothing but endure. Chapter 324, Beautiful Plan. Beautiful Plan. Chen Shang had shocked everyone with the strength of his blade strike. In particular, those deans who had laid down the barrier since they were clearer than anyone else. All of them were Nirvana realm martial artists. They had lived for many years, and naturally, they could perceive that Chen Zhang's martial technique was extraordinary. They speculated Chen Shang had very possibly casted the dragon martial technique. A lot of dragon martial techniques had spread in the mortal world, yet they were not that many. Even these deans didn't have that many. Although Chen Zhang's blade technique was terrifying, these deans could see that it was not the powerful martial technique which had cut the sword, but the brilliant knife in his hand. God knows what level of knife it was. The knife was definitely extraordinary, even a brilliant grade weapon was cut off by the knife. These deans had now come to a realization that if they allowed Chen Shang to wield this weapon, then their disciples would have no chance of winning. Using their divine sense, these 4 Nirvana realm martial artists were having a discussion. At last it was decided to somehow restrict Chen Shang in using his weapon, otherwise, the next 3 would definitely lose against Chen Shang. Chen Shang, in the next fight, our side is not going to use weapon. Therefore, you can also not use a weapon. Xiao Ziliang said. Chen Shang coldly smiled, it was you who came to me for a fight. It was your side who chose to use the weapon, and I have not objected. But now you don't want me to use weapons. Why should I listen to you? Since Ji Yu Dongchen was also here, Chen Shang was not afraid of these deans. Chen Shang felt that he was not being taken seriously, as the entire match was being led by the other party. Chen Shang, your knife is too formidable, don't you think it is very unfair? Tang Yichao said. Chen Shang started laughing, fair. I'm currently in 5th level of the true martial realm, yet Peng Shanwu was in the 6th level, you think that was fair? When you wanted to use weapon, I had to follow and use my weapon. When you don't want to use, I should not use mine. Is this fair? Bullshit. If you don't have weapon to contend, don't clamor to use a fight to solve the problem. Chen Zhang's words sent Tang Yichao and the others into fury. The onlookers were also extremely surprised. Much to their surprise, Chen Shang dared to talk like this to these deans. He was being surrounded by 4 Nirvana realm martial artists, but nevertheless, he still dared to be so arrogant while speaking. On the side, Ji Yu Dongchen sneered, Xiao Ziliang, don't go too far. If your disciple is not strong, then don't try to weaken the opposite party. With this rubbish, you still want to talk about fairness? Don't make me laugh. Everyone also felt Chen Shang was correct. Chen Shang had been challenged by the opposite party, yet the opposite had enforced unfavorable demands upon him. Only a fool would agree. If you can't fight, then quickly get the hell out. Ji Yu Dongchen coldly shouted. He was unafraid of these Nirvana realm martial artists. He was an 8th tribulation Nirvana realm martial artist. He was the strongest martial artist on the Chenwu mainland, as most of the martial artists that have crossed the 9th tribulation had already been sucked into the heavenly realm. Xiao Ziliang was secretly blaming the proud sword sect. Otherwise, at the beginning, they could have restricted the usage of weapons, and they would not have to deal with so many other issues now. From the beginning, we were in the wrong in not arranging the rules. So now let's set it as a new rule. No one is allowed to use any weapons. Of course we'll compensate you. As long as you win, we will increase your compensation from 100 million to 200 million, what do you think? Xiao Ziliang proposed. In the face of absolute strength, he could only concede. Although Ji Yu Dongchen was a junior in his eyes, he was still far stronger than him. If this went on, it was highly likely that they would be disgraced even more. Originally, Xiao Ziliang thought that after crossing the 7th tribulation and establishing the free immortal sea, he would be powerful than the extreme martial sect. He could hold his head up high. But to his surprise, Ji Yu Dongchen had crossed the 8th tribulation. Although he was only behind by 1 tribulation, the difference was like between heaven and earth. Alright, I promise, Chen Shang agreed. After buying the dragon soul, Chen Shang was almost bankrupt. Just a moment ago, he had already won 100 million crystal stones. If he won against the next 3 opponents, he would be able to win 600 million crystal stones, which, for him, was a substantial sum. Even after laboriously saving for so long in the past, he was only able to gather 300 million. Moreover, he still had to sell the fire martial soul to earn more. The next opponent turned out to be a seductive girl with a statuesque figure. With her charming and tapered face, along with her flirtatious red dress, she seemed extremely pretty and coquettish to Chen Shang. Unlike Su Meiyao and Hua Shanyu, she had some sort of spellbinding charm. At present, she could be regarded as a stunner. Many males in the square were dumbfoundedly gawking at her, they could not wait to strip off her clothes. The girl smiled obsequiously at Chen Shang. Everyone secretly thought that Chen Shang would definitely lose this round, they felt that they themselves would definitely show mercy to such a beauty. She is the beast martial sect's Yan Yanran, the beast martial sect's most beautiful disciple. A man shouted. Noticing that the fiery look in every man's eyes didn't show any signs of dissipation, Yan Yanran, this bewitching girl, appeared to be extremely excited. Her charming giggles were extremely bewitching. Elder brother Chen is finished. This girl is every man's weakness. Yun Xiaodao's sight was also fixed at her, even he couldn't help but gulp. Zhu Rong pursed his lips and said, younger brother Chen's fiancé, Shui Shenxian, is a lot better than this girl. Don't forget Qianqin, the most beautiful girl of the extreme martial sect. Wasn't she just like her? Yet that girl has been tarnished once by younger brother Chen during a fight and younger brother didn't even show mercy. Wu Qianqin tenderly snorted, before ruthlessly pinching Zhu Rong, damn fatty, I was just defeated by him, don't speak anything vulgar. Yan Yanran suddenly tore her own long skirt, revealing her extremely hot and enticing figure. Only a black cloth was wrapped around her chest and her nether region. Her perfect figure was out for show without any reservation. Her two snow-white smooth and slender legs, her graceful and slender waist, her two towering jade peaks which had been tightly wrapped by the black cloth, along with her the two pressing peaks peeking out of the black cloth, all of them added to make everyone unable to stop looking even if they didn't want to look. Hey, young Master Chen, please show mercy to little miss. Yan Yanran charmingly smiled and said, I had glutted your eyes, you cannot possibly destroy me. That bewitching voice rendered many males limp and dumbfounded. At the same time, nearly every male had a part of their body grew hard. Humph, Lu Menjie and Hua Shangyu simultaneously tenderly snorted. They had not expected that the beast martial sect would actually send such an alluring woman. That brat has a good control over his mind, don't worry. Hua Shangyu said. She was much better than Yan Yanran, yet Chen Shang had the gall to simply refuse her. I know, but this little rascal is still a man. Lu Menjie lightly scoffed and said. A smug smile appeared on the beast martial sect's elder face. Chen Shang was a man and just a 20-years-old one at that. This was exactly the age when a young man was the most vigorous. A beautiful woman at his age had a fatal temptation to him. This girl is too shameless, if all girls are just as shameless as her. Zhu Rong said with an lascivious smile hanging on his face. Just as he finished, he felt pain coming from his arm. Wu Qianqin had vigorously pinched his arm. However, Zhu Rong's words were also in the mind of many males on the square. Suddenly, Yan Yanran's smile turned stiff, because in Chen Zhang's eyes, only a look of admiration was present. His gaze was devoid of any beastly desire, it was as if he was just appreciating a treasure, nothing more. This, on the contrary, came as a surprise to Yan Yanran. Many of the men on the square could not wait to push her down on the ground, yet Chen Shang didn't even have this kind of idea. If I could defeat you, I can get 200 million crystal stones, sorry. A grin appeared on Chen Zhang's face. Footnotes. Zhu Rong Pai Pai Zui Shuo Dao. Shen Lao Di De Wei Hun Chi Shui Xian Ke Shi Bai J Nu Ren Hao De Duo. Zheng A Quang Qian Qian J Gai Tai Wu Men Di Mei Ren Hai Bu Shi Yang Bei Shen Lao Di La Shou Kui Hua, Da Sheng Can Hua Bai Lu Ma. Can Hua Bai Lu, it means the fading of a girl's beauty after she lost her virginity. Like she is no longer pure. I could not find any appropriate word other than tarnished for such complex Chinese adjective. That's why in the next sentence Wu Qianqin says Zhu Rong is speaking vulgarly. Chapter 325, Merciless. Merciless. Edited by Moxie with his new keyboard and red little bat. Noticing the sliver of ruthlessness flashing through Chen Zhang's eyes, Yan Yanran felt as if she had eaten a fly. Her seduction didn't have the slightest effect on Chen Shang. At this point, she felt like a clown as an inexplicable shame overwhelmed her. Hua Shangyu had felt the same way when she failed to seduce Chen Shang in the past. Yan Yanran's response was just as Hua Shangyu's, both of them immediately got dressed and quickly covered their beautiful and tender figures. The charming smile on Yan Yanran's face disappeared in the blink of an eye, which was now replaced by a menacing expression. Originally, she believed that with her figure, she would be able to charm Chen Shang, thereby making Chen Shang let down his guard during the fight. However, contrary to her expectations, her plan had actually failed. She was very well aware of how strong Chen Shang was, Just a while ago, while hidden among the crowd, she had been carefully watching Chen Zhang's previous fight. Even though she was a 6th-level true martial realm martial artist, she didn't have any confidence. Although she couldn't understand why, she knew that Chen Zhang's true qi was more vigorous and powerful than hers. Hua Shangyu, after noticing that Yan Yanren had already thrown the towel, was secretly pleased in her heart. Chen Shang had even won the heart of a character like Lu Menger, so obviously, he wouldn't be so casually tempted by Yan Yanren. Although Chen Shang had not seen Yan Yanren in the past, he was still knowledgeable about the top beauty of the beast martial sect. When he had gone drinking with Yun Xiaodao, Zhu Rong and the others, he had once heard them mention her. According to them, Yan Yanren was a very perceptive martial artist, and she was using some sort of a cat-like martial art, which made her extremely agile. Watching Yan Yanren wearing her clothes, the beast martial sect's elder realized that their initial plan had failed. If Yan Yanren lost, their beast martial sect would have to pay 200 million crystal stones to Chen Shang. Thinking about this, he secretly felt sad. He came to regret ever cooperating with Xiao Ziliang. The proud sword sect and the true martial sect's deans were also feeling the same. They thought that after the end of the tournament, Chen Shang would be greatly exhausted, and it would be a perfect time to trouble Chen Shang. But who would have thought that Chen Zhang's speed of recovery would be many times better than they had imagined, and his strength was even more beyond their imagination. These deans were also extremely experienced. It was their first watching Chen Shang, this genius who, with the strength of 5th-level true martial realm, could still suppress someone from 6th or 7th level of the true martial realm. Naturally, they realized that Chen Shang was cultivating a powerful martial exercise. "Begin," Xiao Ziliang shouted. His voice was totally gloomy. If their 4 sects still failed to defeat Chen Shang even after taking turns to fight him, then their prestige would very possibly go down the drain. In the future, they would have no face to pick a fight with Chen Shang. Once Xiao Ziliang gave the signal to start, Yan Yanren suddenly jumped backwards. Chen Shang had just jabbed once, yet he didn't expect Yan Yanren's vigilance to be so high, to the point where only air was struck by his jab. After his jab failed to struck Yan Yanren, the instant Chen Shang thought of pursuing her and continuing his attack, Yan Yanren's figure suddenly disappeared. Behind, Chen Shang frowned. He suddenly turned around, and with lightning-like punches, he continuously bombarded. In the blink of an eye, he had already punched dozens of times, yet he just struck nothing but air. He was secretly amazed by Yan Yanren's speed. Just a moment ago, Chen Shang felt that he was about to be hit by Yan Yanren. At that time, he felt a weak power fluctuation from behind. If he had not been cultivating Shinto, he wouldn't have such an extraordinary divine sense. Chen Shang now came to grasp the timing to counterattack, and he had to counterattack just after a half-second interval. If it was faster by a bit, Yan Yanren would have reacted and dodged, but if it was any slower, he would definitely be struck by Yan Yanren. At this time, Chen Shang unconsciously used the refining simulation technique that was normally for alchemy. He calculated the timing of Yan Yanren's attack and the timing for his counterattack. Now, after Chen Shang grasped the timing, a hideous expression emerged on his face. As he smacked a palm, he felt his palm landing upon a very soft mass, and naturally, he realized what it was. Yan Yanren uttered a tender shout before spewing out blood. She was extremely furious as well as ashamed. She had not expected that Chen Shang would start so ruthlessly. Much to her surprise, he had even used the terrifying shocking heaven palm and also struck upon the proud chest of her. Chen Shang secretly lauded the wondrous feeling transmitted a moment ago from his hand. Although there were a lot of ravishing beauties around him, he had not touched those good stuffs yet. In this regard, he could be regarded as an inexperienced brat. What made Yan Yanren furious was that Chen Shang didn't know how to show an iota of compassion on girls. After she was sent flying from Chen Zhang's strike, Chen Shang was already pursuing her in an astonishing speed. Moreover, from the serious expression hanging on Chen Zhang's face, she realized that he would definitely attack ruthlessly. Just as she thought of dodging, she noticed a palm covering her head. Just from the pressure emanating from above she felt suffocated, as fear overwhelmed her mind. Ah! Yan Yanren gasped. In Chen Zhang's sea-wave-like shocking heaven palm, Yan Yanren's supple body appeared to be extremely weak. She was like a boat tossing up and down along the raging sea in a storm, getting wrecked. Is he not a man? So ruthless. Hua Shangyu lightly nibbled her lips. In the end, she was also a female, and she felt sympathy for Yan Yanren. Sigh, if this little rascal is not harassing a woman, then her luck has come to an end. Lu Menjie heaved a light sigh. Below the stage, some people couldn't bear to watch anymore. Even if they came to worship Chen Shang before, but now that Chen Shang had used such brutal means to destroy the goddess of their hearts, they continuously cursed Chen Shang. This power is inconceivable. A sharp aura flashed past Xiao Ziliang's eyes. He seemed to have realized something, because he was having a familiar feeling from that power. If the victim was unprepared, under the continuous shocking heaven palms, if he wouldn't die, then at least he would be seriously injured. This was exactly the case for Yan Yanren. How could she expect that someone could continuously cast such overbearing martial technique? The consumption of true qi for the shocking heaven palm was exceptional. Just sending a palm was very difficult, yet Chen Zhang's complexion remained unchanged even after sending hundreds of shocking heaven palm. This was the clear proof that Chen Shang had a very rich true qi reserve. Chen Shang, Yan Yanren tenderly shouted. Anyone with good eyesight could glimpse Yan Yanren palms landing dead right upon Chen Zhang's. At that moment, Chen Shang suddenly felt a pain on his palm. He could clearly feel 5 sharp things puncturing both of his palms. He had no idea what it was, however, he could not just stop his speeding palm. The reason why he continued to use such brutal palm techniques on Yan Yanren was because he felt that Yan Yanren's breath was not showing any signs of weakening. In other words, although Yan Yanren appeared to be ravaged, her injuries weren't bad at all. This girl's body is very supple and extremely resilient. The true qi within her body also possesses the same characteristics. Because of that, about 80% of the power of your shocking heaven palm, after landing on her body, is reduced by her body's suppleness and true qi. Long Shui explained. Her sensibility was truly powerful, that was why she could accurately sense every fiber of Yan Yanren's body. That was the reason why Chen Shang didn't stop no matter how miserably Yan Yanren cried. On the contrary, he was even more brutal in using the shocking heaven palm to ravage Yan Yanren. Even if the barrier had been laid down by 4 Nirvana realm martial artists, Chen Zhang's continuous shocking heaven palm still made the ground tremble. The quaking made many people's feet numb. The terror of this power could only be imagined by the audience, not to mention Yan Yanren who was directly suffering from Chen Zhang's strikes. Chapter 326. The Herculean Clan First Part. The Herculean Clan First Part. Sorry for the delay, in my defense I'm still on holiday and was enjoying the tour. Can this little rascal truly bear to ravage such a beauty? They don't have any enmity, there is no need for him to use such ruthless means. Lu Menjie frowned. She didn't want Chen Shang to turn into a brutal man. She knew Chen Shang was a person who would not hesitate to kill, but only when his life was threatened would he resort to such ruthless means. Not to mention Yan Yanren from the beginning to the end had not resorted to any ruthless means. Probably not. Don't you find it strange that, even though Yan Yanren is a 6th-level true martial realm martial artist, yet under Chen Zhang's shocking heaven palm for so long, she could still utter such sharp cries? Hua Shangyu said. Lu Menjie also realized something. Followed by a deafening tiger's roar, everyone saw Chen Shang suddenly sent a punch after a palm. A huge golden tiger head appeared upon Chen Zhang's fist, ruthlessly pounding upon Yan Yanren's voluptuous bosom. Yan Yanren uttered a miserable cry, blood overflowed from her mouth as she was smacked away. In a moment she was out of the barrier. Just as she got out, she nimbly rolled over, before firmly standing on the ground. Watching this, the square immediately burst into waves of exclamations. Much to everyone's surprise, Yan Yanren even after suffering from Chen Zhang's shocking heaven palm, could still firmly held her ground. Only her complexion was a little bit pale. Blood was overflowing from the corners of her mouth, her breathing was somewhat rapid, it seems she had not been seriously injured. Chen Shang looked at his hands. On his palm there were 5 puncture wounds, like he had been stabbed by a claw, which directly punctured his palm. Looking at the alluring figure in front of him, Chen Shang clenched his teeth. This female was a lot stronger than the golden-sheathed swordsman. There were many wondrous things present in this vast world, not only he would have fruitious encounter, others would also. He was sure that this bewitching female in front of him was definitely one of those people. The supple constitution she had was a lot better than his 5th-level immortal and devil body. I concede, don't attack. Yan Yanren adjusted her messy hair before she tenderly shouted. Noticing Chen Shang was a little surprised, she charmingly smiled and said, rest assured, it's not poisoned. Just remember, I'm not so easy to bully. Anyway, thank you for not hitting my face, or else I. Just as she finished speaking, she leapt a few times before disappearing in the square. Very fearsome woman, her claws actually penetrated through the black tortoise adamantine armor, or her attack was so fast that even the black tortoise adamantine armor didn't have the time to defend, before she punctured my palm. Chen Shang exclaimed in his heart. This woman's weak point was her head, yet you had never hit on her head. Long Shui said. Yes, in the end I was soft-hearted. Alas, a brave hero will find it difficult to get past a beautiful woman. Chen Shang lamented. Pooh, you hit on her body, I'm afraid you had taken a lot of advantages cheaply, isn't that right? If not for her having that kind of constitution, she would have suffered a rather serious injury a long time ago, yet you still have the gall to say you were soft-hearted. Su Meiyao tenderly snorted and said. Chen Shang also realized his shocking heaven palm was ineffective against Yan Yanran. He could only resort to send the shocking heaven palms like a fierce rainstorm. Now he realized a rather serious problem. He had consumed half of his true qi, because he had used the 5 elements universe true qi for that last attack. Although Chen Shang did not hit Yan Yanran's face, everyone still felt that he was rather brutal. He had unexpectedly used such a frightening palm technique to ravage such a weak girl. Chen Zhang's courage and valiance in the last 2 battles, especially the last fight where he continued to send shocking heaven palm without respite, scared the shit out of many true martial realm martial artists. If they were bombarded continuously by Chen Shang, they would definitely turn into paste. Not to mention those 1st and 2nd level true martial realm martial artists, even those 5th and 6th level true martial realm martial artists in the square were horrified. The Beast Martial Sect unexpectedly has such a powerful disciple. But unfortunately the Beast Martial Sect's leader has always been so annoying, and now they are without any leader. Ji Yu Dongchen was also ruthless. After an interval of a generation, he had once again killed their dean. Hua Shangyu said. Lu Menger certainly didn't think so, because she too was inside the Black Tortoise mysterious realm. At that time Ji Yu Dongchen and the trio had been besieged by many Nirvana realm martial artists. It was absolutely impossible for Ji Yu Dongchen to kill the Beast Martial Sect's dean and the Nirvana realm martial artists of the Free Immortal Sea, the True Martial Sect and the Beast Martial Sect one after another. Although Chen Shang didn't mention anything to her, she had guessed a little. At that time, Chen Shang was akin to an invincible being inside the Black Tortoise mysterious realm. Others were not able to utilize their true qi, yet he could. Younger brother Tang, now it should be your True Martial Sect's turn to fight. Xiao Ziliang urged. He could not possibly allow Chen Shang to have some time to recover. Just as he finished speaking, Chen Shang swallowed a 5 elements true elemental dan. Many onlookers felt jealous. The 5 elements true elemental dan was worth more than 1,000,000 crystal stones, yet Chen Shang swallowed it down without batting an eye. They secretly envied Chen Shang, this bizarre character. Not only was he a terrifying alchemist, he also had heaven-defying strength. Tang Yichao, watching Chen Shang swallow a 5 elements true elemental dan, his eyebrows slightly twitched. It was never mentioned that he was not allowed to take dans for recovery. Not to mention, they were taking turns to fight Chen Shang. If the opposite party was not allowed to recover, then that would be too shameless. After swallowing the 5 elements true elemental dan, Chen Shang quickly operated the Tai Chi subduing dragon exercise to digest the potency. He wanted to recover the true qi he had consumed in the past 2 fights, because he still had 2 fights left. Ma True Martial Sect concedes. Tang Yichao suddenly shouted. Now if he sent his disciple, wasn't he simply sending him to get tortured? That would be very unwise. At present they were completely dissatisfied with Xiao Ziliang. Why should he ask them to send their disciple to fight first, yet his Free Immortal Sea's disciples would fight last? Wasn't he simply taking advantage of them? Thinking of this, Tang Yichao felt very unhappy. The same was true for the Beast Martial Sect and the Proud Sword Sect. They had worn down Chen Zhang's strength, while the Free Immortal Sea could sit back and enjoy. In the end, it was they who would have to pay Chen Shang the crystal stones. If the Free Immortal Sea won the last fight, then Chen Shang would have to refine dans at their beck and call. The Free Immortal Sea would certainly reap sky-shaking profits. Xiao Ziliang obviously realized what was going on in Tang Yichao and the other's mind. He too was completely dissatisfied with these juniors. If not for Pincer attacking the extreme martial sect, he would not bother to ally with them. Humph, even before fighting you already threw in the towel. You, juniors also don't have any courage. Xiao Ziliang scoffed in a low voice and said. At the same time, outside the barrier an old man gave a meaningful glance. Although Chen Shang had shown mercy in the last two fights, Tang Yichao was worried that Chen Shang would use ruthless means to deal with his true martial sect's disciple. For Chen Shang had a great enmity with the true martial sect. Next it was the Free Immortal C's turn to fight. Chen Shang had killed a few Free Immortal C's disciples before, but they were just some henchmen. But now the disciple from the Free Immortal C would certainly be stronger, otherwise Xiao Ziliang would not appear to be so confident. Chen Shang had been refining the 5 elements true elemental Dan bit by bit. It allowed Chen Shang to recover a greater part of his true qi. He knew the opposite party would not give him too much time for recovery, however, now it was enough for him to fight one battle. Suddenly, a bizarre energy fluctuation arrived. Chen Shang quickly retreated a few steps, before a child suddenly appeared in front of him with his braid pointing at the sky. The ancient Herculean clan, Long Shui exclaimed. Chapter 327, The Herculean Clan Final Part. The Herculean Clan Final Part. Edited by Moxie and Fingerfox. With the sudden appearance of a child, Chen Shang and the others were all surprised. They realized that he was the disciple sent by the Free Immortal C, and an extremely strong one at that. With his sudden appearance, in addition with the imposing manner emanating from his body, a large number of people was surprised. The ancient Herculean clan, Lian Yingxiao said with a frown. At this point, he had already arrived beside Jiyu Dongchen. Who would have that thought they would actually be present in the Chenwu mainland? Will Chen Shang be able to win? Jiyu Dongchen's complexion turned solemn. Seeing that child appear, Hua Shangyu tenderly scolded, Xiao Ziliang is extremely shameless, he actually sent this guy to fight the little rascal. Rest assured, Chen Shang is not to be trifled with. His body is currently at the 5th level of Immortal and Devil body. Although Lu Menjie was also worried, when she remembered the time she helped Chen Shang temper his body to reach 5th level of Immortal and Devil body, she immediately became very confident for Chen Shang. The child standing in front of Chen Shang appeared to be only 6 to 7 years old. He looked very cute, yet his eagle-like sharp eyes were totally incompatible with his age. As he clenched his fists and slightly spread his legs apart, along with the oppressing manner emanating from his body made him appear to be awe-inspiring. Noticing the will to fight burning in those pair of sharp eyes, Chen Shang secretly raised his guard. What is the ancient Herculean clan? Chen Shang inquired Long Shui. Su Meiyao interjected, it's a clan with innate divine power. Their pregnancy lasts for 10 years, but once they are born, they have the power to raise 10,000 jins of weight. Their body is also extremely sturdy. However, the growth speed of their body is 100 times slower than an average person. In other words, the little brat standing in front of you is at least 500 years old. Once they were born, their strength equaled 10,000 jins. The corners of Chen Zhang's mouth twitched after hearing this. Moreover, the guy was also a few hundred years old. Not to mention that he had a naturally powerful body, he might even have a better true qi. The Herculean clan is spread across various mortal worlds. In the ancient period, they were the strongest faction, and perhaps even now, they still are. Even in the heavenly realm, they hold a very small position. God knows how the Free Immortal C was able to rope in such a heaven-defying existence. You have to be careful, Long Shui said. From what I remember, the Herculean clan's people are maniacs, they don't like to stay in groups. How could he stay in the Free Immortal C? Bai Yu doubtfully said. Although the Herculean clan have innate divine power, it is very difficult for them to cultivate true qi. Cultivation for them is easier said than done. If they are unable to cultivate true qi, they could only live for 300 years. If my guess is correct, the Free Immortal C should fit the way he cultivates his true qi, that's why he is staying in the Free Immortal C. Long Shui said. Chen Shang tightly clenched his fist. The Herculean clan even have a small status in the heavenly realm, so it was clear they were extremely powerful. The child in front of him had the power to move mountains. I'm Xiao Chou, a 5th level true martial realm martial artist. His voice was just like a child's, however, it carried the tone of an elder which sounded extremely weird. Humph, this brat is acting young. If I can, this ant will punish him 2 or 3 times. I will force him to kneel and beg for mercy. Long Shui said with disdain. Chen Shang secretly despised her, she too was similarly acting young. She was even more shameless. Little girl, you are from the Imperial Dragon family, if you revealed your identity, even in the heavenly realm, you can roam freely. Although the Herculean clan is stronger, they are still humans, certainly, they could not compare with you, this monster. Su Meiyao said. I'm Chen Shang, I too am a 5th level true martial realm martial artist. Chen Shang replied politely. Although the opposite party was a free Immortal Sea's disciple, so long as the opposite party showed him respect, he would respond with respect. Although Chen Shang had enmity with the leaders of the free Immortal Sea, the true martial sect and the beast martial sect, many of their disciples had not done any wrong. Last time, Chen Shang had even become friends with the true martial sect's disciples in the southern wasteland. I've watched your previous battle. I must admit that in the Chenwu mainland, you are truly stronger than any 5th level true martial realm martial artists. Even 6th level or 7th level will have difficulty in contending with you. Xiao Chou said. The expression in his eyes when he was looking at Chen Shang was as if he was looking at a toy, making Chen Shang secretly unhappy. The Herculean clan is bellicose, they have an innate desire to ravage normal people, and they feel a sense of superiority in that. Don't look at his polite appearance. In all actuality, deep down, these guys are even more arrogant than the proud sword sect guys. Especially when they win a fight, they will completely despise the opponent and say some nasty words to outrage you. Su Meiyao said. Chen Shang, with a provocative expression in his eyes, looked at Xiao Chou, then he smiled and said, I've heard of the Herculean clan, I did not expect that I'll encounter one today. I would like to see how strong you are. Listening to Chen Shang, Xiao Chou coldly harumphed, you're just a human. So are you not a human? Chen Shang retorted. After noticing that Xiao Chou had finally revealed his true nature, Chen Shang felt proud in his heart. This state of mind, in his opinion, was no different than that of an inexperienced child. The Herculean clan is bestowed with divine power by heavens, naturally, humans can't be compared to us. We are the descendants of God. Xiao Chou said in a proud tone. I spit. My honorable imperial dragon family is not as arrogant as them. Chen Shang, beat this shameless brat. Long Shui angrily said. Chen Shang, while imitating Long Shui's tone, spoke loudly, I spit, who the fuck are you? If you are descendants of God, you will not appear in the mortal world, this shitty place. You dare to insult me, I'll not show you any mercy. Initially, I intended to let you off the hook and let you grow. I think there is no need for it, an arrogant guy like you will just waste the spirit chi. Xiao Chou's complexion turned ugly before he coldly said. Everyone watching were dumbfounded, what is called arrogance? It was obviously himself being arrogant, yet completely oblivious to the very fact, and say other people are arrogant. Now, Chen Shang realized why Long Shui was so annoyed with the Herculean clan. He now had a taste of it. This guy was 100 times more annoying than the proud sword sect guys. Begin, Xiao Ziliang shouted. His face was brimming with pride which made Tang Yichao and the others to become completely unhappy. They were well aware of how strong the Herculean clan was. The free Immortal Sea's victory was already certain, while their 3 sects had lost. They had wasted their strength in laying out the barrier, not to mention they still had to pay Chen Shang. Most of all, they had lost too much of their prestige. Tang Yichao and the others now very much wished for Chen Shang to win, so that they would feel a little better. Many among the audiences in the square weren't aware of the Herculean clan. But some experienced old men were also present in the square, and soon the information regarding the Herculean clan spread in the square. Watching the shocked expressions appearing on everyone's face, Xiao Chou's little face had an even prouder look. Fuck, why is this Herculean clan guy is looking more annoying the more I look? Granny Long is going to smack him down. Long Shui angrily said. Chen Shang quickly consoled Long Shui. If she ran out and beat that little rascal of the Herculean clan, then a large number of people would definitely wet their pants. Little dragon, if I cannot defeat him, then I can always use your power. Chen Shang said. And, at that time, despite anything, take him down. Long Shui said. Chen Shang guessed that Long Shui's parents must have had some conflict with the Herculean clan, that was why she inherited the hate for the Herculean clan. Chapter 328, Formidable Adversary. Formidable Adversary. Edited by Ballistic Bunny. Chen Shang and Xiao Chou's fight had already begun. Yet much to Chen Zhang's dismay, Xiao Chou didn't immediately attack. Come and attack me, I'm standing right here, let's see if you can force me to leave this spot. Xiao Chou stood there and proudly said with his head held high. Such arrogance, obviously Xiao Chou certainly had some ability. Chen Shang would not underestimate Xiao Chou, but he was furious. Xiao Chou's arrogance was over the par. Little dragon, do the Herculean family have some sort of weak point? Chen Shang asked. If there was some weak spot, he would definitely not be lenient. I only know it is difficult for them to cultivate true qi, that's all. There is nothing else in my hereditary memories. Long Shui replied, he is just a little rascal, you just have to beat him. Indeed, Xiao Chou only appeared to be a little brat, he was not even up to Chen Zhang's waist. But Xiao Chou was from the Herculean family and he had also lived for a few hundred years, this made it difficult to gauge his strength. Chen Shang firmed his heart and rushed ahead. He smacked a palm from above towards Xiao Chou's head. Moreover, it was an exceptionally powerful shocking heaven palm. Looking at the terrifying momentum, it would not be difficult for the blow to devastate a hill. If it landed upon an ordinary person, they would have already been crushed by the pressure of the powerful qi emanating from the palm alone. As the palm came down, the square still had not shaken. Chen Zhang's heart was in shambles because his palm had been stopped by just a finger. Much to his surprise, Xiao Chou had simply used a single finger to resolve the shocking heaven palm. It was as if all the energy has been completely dispersed by that finger. You're too weak, Xiao Chou said as he sent a punch towards Chen Zhang's abdomen. Xiao Chou still stood at his original location. His arm was very short, it didn't actually reach Chen Shang. However, once he sent out that childlike punch, a deafening thunderous sound echoed between heaven and earth, accompanied with a terrifying storm rising forth from the punch. The blow bombarded upon Chen Zhang's abdomen, and another deafening noise shook everyone's eardrums. Chen Shang was sent flying like an arrow and fell at the edge of the barrier. Chen Shang was having difficulty crawling back up. On the corner of his mouth, blood was overflowing. The punch was extremely strange, he didn't sense any power fluctuations. Thus, he had also not imagined that after Xiao Chou had punched, such terrifying force would burst from it. According to his estimation, that blow was equivalent to that of a strike from the 9th level true martial realm. If he didn't have the black tortoise adamantine armor, he probably would have suffered near-fatal injuries. Very strong, Chen Shang stood back up. He slowly took 2 deep breaths to gather himself, it didn't seem there was anything wrong with his body. Noticing Chen Shang had not suffered any major injuries, Xiao Chou was also surprised. According to his estimation, at the very least, Chen Shang should have suffered serious injuries. That's the mysterious power of the Herculean family, the Herculean true qi. It cannot be sensed. It is very difficult for the Herculean family members to grow exactly the Herculean true qi unless they found an appropriate cultivation technique. Long Shui said. Chen Shang heaved a sigh of relief. Before, he suspected it was the pure physical strength. If that was the case, he would just throw in the towel. If his opponent's body was that powerful, how the hell was he going to do anything to them? Since it is true qi, then it can run out. Chen Shang clenched his fist, and once again charged towards Xiao Chou. Watching Chen Shang charging over, Xiao Chou sneered, if I were you, I would admit defeat while I still can. Just as his voice fell, Chen Shang had already appeared in front of him. Xiao Chou only caught sight of Chen Shang slashing forward with his arm, before a melodious dragon roar reverberated in his ears. In an instant, an oppressive aura surged forth. Little rascal, don't be rampant. Chen Shang sneered. He had just slashed a bit, yet his speed was extremely terrifying, it was very difficult to even discern his movements. That claw strike from Chen Shang was nothing to joke about. Just from the short burst of the imposing manner, it became quite clear that the slash from Chen Shang was extremely powerful. Moreover, after he was finished sending out the strike, he had quickly retreated. Xiao Chou's young face was brimming in fury. Suddenly, everyone was staring dumbfoundedly at the scene unfolding before them. 5 deep lacerations slowly appeared on Xiao Chou's face. After such a short while, Chen Shang had drawn blood. Evidently, Chen Zhang's speed was extremely terrifying. That was a kind attack among the various Azure Dragon Claw strikes, known as the Azure Dragon Invisible Claw. The speed of attack was incomparably fast, moreover, it would also release a powerful Azure Dragon Chi during the attack. If an iron column had been slashed, it would be directly cut off. As the saying goes, an attack on the face means an injury on one's self-esteem. At present, on Xiao Chou's face 5 bloody scratches had been left by Chen Shang, this made Xiao Chou extremely furious. Initially, he had thought he would be able to defeat Chen Shang without moving. Yet now the anger had rushed to his head, he only wanted to defeat Chen Shang as quickly as possible, he wanted to ruthlessly crush him. Seeing Xiao Chou enraged, Chen Shang in his heart was secretly elated. He had forced Xiao Chou to leave his position. Chen Shang, you scratched my face. I'll break your skull, Xiao Chao's voice was filled with hatred. Using a childlike tone to speak such a sentence made everyone feel slightly strange. Xiao Chou was rather faster. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived in front of Chen Shang, then quickly sent out a series of punches. Each punch was a couple of times stronger than the one which had sent Chen Shang flying. In the face of such terrifying attacks, Chen Shang could not resist or block, he could only dodge. Chen Shang was not as fast as Xiao Chou. When Xiao Chou saw Chen Shang flee to the side, he once again appeared behind Chen Shang with a step, and swiftly but haphazardly fired a punch at him. However, Xiao Chou's fist just landed upon a water screen, he felt as if his fist only struck on the surface of the ocean. After Chen Shang had learned the Black Tortoise external strength technique, the Black Tortoise Luo Tian cover turned even more resilient. Chen Shang was pleasantly surprised by the fact that it was much easier to resist that kind of power now. Ha ha ha, this little rascal only has brute force. Chen Shang noticed Xiao Chou attacking so haphazardly and came to realize that Xiao Chou only knew how to blindly attack. Then it was clear he had not grasped too many martial techniques. After all, he was cultivating Herculean true qi. Suitable martial techniques for him were very scarce due to his unique true qi. After Chen Shang found Xiao Chou's weak point, he was suddenly extremely relaxed. He was well aware of his disparity in raw force with Xiao Chou, but Chen Shang now had the confidence that he could defeat Xiao Chou. Chen Shang, fight face to face, don't be a turtle. Xiao Chou didn't expect Chen Shang could even release a formidable water shield that even made him gnash his teeth in hatred. Chen Shang suddenly felt he had overestimated Xiao Chou. He was a few hundred years old, yet he acted like a little brat. As per Xiao Chou's wish, Chen Shang suddenly withdrew the water curtain. Seeing the water curtain suddenly disappear, Xiao Chou was elated in his heart. He then ruthlessly fired a punch at Chen Shang. Once Xiao Chou had fired the punch, his punch gave rise to continuous explosive sounds from hitting the air. The surging momentum made everyone aghast. Go to hell, Xiao Chou roared. Just from the sound of his voice, cracks began to appear on stones. Even Fragrance City shook slightly. The punch accurately landed upon Chen Zhang's abdomen, but at that instant, Chen Zhang's figure burst into the mist. His figure had suddenly disappeared. That was Chen Zhang's water mirror technique. Those who were familiar with Chen Shang would be aware of this move. Many of Chen Shang's opponents had suffered from this move and it had proven itself invaluable time and time again. Xiao Chou had just begun to believe Chen Shang had vanished into a puff of smoke from his punch, but very soon he realized he was wrong. This was because the force of his punch penetrated through the virtual image and ruthlessly slammed into the barrier. Little rascal, ha ha ha, followed by Chen Zhang's mockings, he suddenly appeared beside Xiao Chou. Chen Shang drew a gash in the air, and once again cast the Azure Dragon Invisible Claw. 5 more deep gashes appeared on the other side of Xiao Chou's face once again. Chapter 329, Ice Spirit Devil Aura. Ice Spirit Devil Aura. Edited by Ballistic Bunny. On account of strength alone, Xiao Chou was an entire tier above Chen Shang. But now, Xiao Chou was the one being teased by Chen Shang, and his face seemed as if it had been scratched by a cat. The sight was very funny, and many onlookers could not help but burst into laughter. Chen Shang, I'll kill you. Xiao Chou had been completely and utterly enraged by Chen Shang. His small body suddenly started shaking, before humming true qi burst forth from his body. This formed an invisible power, which surged towards Chen Shang. Property of path-of-translation.com. Chen Shang was extremely shocked. He immediately released the Black Tortoise Luo Tian cover. Meanwhile, that power was storming towards Chen Shang. Xiao Chou had already appeared above Chen Shang and ruthlessly kicked at his head. It was as if a meteor brimming in destructive force had fallen from the heavens. Property of path-of-translation.com. If the barrier wasn't present, the Herculean true qi released by Xiao Chou probably would have lifted the bricks of the entire square, and when his kick landed, the square would have been torn apart. Property of path-of-translation.com. The sudden intense pressure pressing down upon him made Chen Zhang's knees slightly bend. It was as if a giant mountain had landed right on top of him. However, this pressure lasted only for a brief moment because Xiao Chou's kick landed very quickly. Property of path-of-translation.com. Boom! An exceptionally powerful shockwave was accompanied by a damped explosive blow. Chen Shang felt his blood swirl in turmoil, it almost made him spew blood. In that instant, the Black Tortoise Luo Tian cover burst into a mist. However, Chen Shang had still managed to block that insane blow. Ji Yu Dongchen watched this entire affair and secretly frowned. If not for the protection of the barrier, the Danxiang Tower might have fallen down from the shock. He was astonished by the Herculean clan's strength, and it was same for many other deans. Even Xiao Ziliang has been sweating profusely. If a single brick had been damaged, he would have to pay 10 billion crystal stones to Danxiang Taoyuan. Property of Path of Translation.com. Naturally, Xiao Ziliang had already taken Xiao Chao's strength into consideration. If he was so powerful now, if then nurtured to the Nirvana realm, wouldn't he be even more terrifying? Now he realized why the Herculean clan could be so popular in the heavenly realm, because they had the absolute power. Property of Path of Translation.com. Chen Zhang's entire body turned numb from that powerful blow. Fortunately, his body was also very strong. Not to mention, there was still the black tortoise adamantine armor. While a few deans were in shock by the Herculean clan's power, they had also been horrified by Chen Shang. He was not from some sort of background like the Herculean clan. Most of all, he was just an inexperienced brat who was not even 30 years old. Yet to their surprise, his abilities were completely abnormal. Not only could he withstand such terrifying attacks, he was also lax enough to continue teasing Xiao Chou. Property of Path of Translation.com. After Xiao Chou had unleashed such a frightening blow, he realized there was still an opportunity to continue attacking. He kept on sending kicks down from the air, and even though his feet were not actually touching Chen Shang, the powerful chi shooting from his legs made it difficult for Chen Shang to dodge. He could only release another black tortoise Luo Tian cover to defend and try to withstand the blows. Chen Zhang's fists were not idle, and he was not just blindly defending. He had cast the White Tiger Divine Fists, which resulted in a white tiger head appearing on each of his fists. Drawing support from the slaughtering heart, he released monstrous slaughter chi, which managed to deter Xiao Chou by sending a constant amount of spiritual pressure upon him. Use the Ice Spirit Devil Aura. It will freeze his mind and he will feel like he's in a world of ice and snow. Bai Yuyu suddenly said. Her ice-cold's voice stirred Chen Zhang's mind. An intelligent gleam twinkled in his eyes. Chen Shang secretly infused the Ice Spirit Devil Aura into the rainstorm of punches. That kind of bizarre power was rather concealed, which was a kind of spirit attack. If the victim was under the influence of the Ice Spirit Devil Aura for a long period of time, the victim's mind would be affected and feel extremely cold. Property of Path of Translation.com. It was a formidable devil technique which could freeze the other person's spirit. Chen Shang rarely used these techniques. If he had not gotten Bai Yuyu's consent, he would not have dared to use it in front of so many people. Xiao Chou continuously countered Chen Zhang's White Tiger Divine Fists with his own powerful blows. Watching the White Tiger head on Chen Zhang's fist scattered from his punch, he felt rather satisfied. He disdained Chen Zhang's blows, but he still had been enveloped by the slaughter chi released by Chen Shang. He felt a little afraid, like Chen Shang, was a god of slaughter who was on the verge of awakening. Property of Path of Translation.com. Both of them were vying for dominance with quick but powerful punches. The accompanied chi waves made the barrier hum and sent continuous tremors through the ground. Although the momentum of the White Tiger Divine Fists was shockingly powerful, Chen Zhang's punches were defeated again and again by Xiao Chao's punches, which contained Herculean true chi, sending Chen Shang continuously into a retreat. Evidently, Chen Zhang's true chi was a lot weaker than Xiao Chou in a straightforward battle. However, no one noticed the slightly weak Ice Spirit Devil Aura accompanying Chen Zhang's punches. After drilling into Xiao Chao's body, it didn't hurt or tickle him, so he simply ignored it. Bit by bit, the aura slowly accumulated within his body. At the beginning, he hadn't felt anything, but after some time, he felt a bit chilly. He only suspected that Chen Shang was using freezing cold true chi when attacking, which was why he didn't pay a particular attention to the feeling. Property of Path of Translation.com. In Xiao Chao's opinion, there was no need to be afraid of this kind of cold. With his powerful body, he would very soon be able to eliminate this trifling coldness. Chen Shang had still not exerted his complete strength yet. Otherwise, with his devil techniques, Xiao Chou probably would have long been destroyed by Chen Shang. How could the devil techniques imparted by Bai Yuyu be compared with other devil techniques? Chen Shang, wait till this little rascal is nearly collapsed from the torture of the Ice Spirit Devil Aura. At that moment, I'll lend you my entire power. That way, when he is defeated, the square will also be destroyed. This will force Xiao Ziliang to pay 10 billion to that seductress. Long Shui naughtily said, who told Xiao Ziliang to send this annoying bastard, who is making this Granny Long very angry. Property of Path of Translation.com. Chen Shang groaned, Granny Long, every time I borrow your power, my body has always been tormented afterward, forget it. Property of path-of-translation.com. Well, how about this? When you are going to use your strongest attack, I'll secretly add half of my power. My power will ignore this bullshit barrier and that way, you will easily destroy the square. Xiao Ziliang will probably get a heart attack. Long Shui exclaimed with excitement. She could not wait to get started. Would that work? Chen Shang asked. In his heart, he too was secretly excited. 10 billion crystal stones could indeed make Xiao Ziliang vomit blood. Of course, my dragon power is very mystical. It won't have to go through your body for me to release, moreover, it will not be found out by another person. However, you still need to cooperate with me. Long Shui proudly said. Property of path-of-translation.com. Seeing this little greedy dragon feeling elated because she was about to cause destruction, Chen Shang was speechless in his heart. He felt he needed a good opportunity to educate this little girl, or else she would bring chaos to the mortal world when she grew up. That would be very catastrophic. Property of path-of-translation.com. Chen Shang still had not digested a major part of the 5 elements true elemental Dan. The 5 elements true elemental Dan could supply a lot of true qi of 5 elements. Chen Shang felt as if he had an inexhaustible supply of true qi. He punched even more fiercely and quickly. Property of path-of-translation.com. Xiao Chou felt increasingly colder. Although he was 600 or so years old, he was usually cultivating his own mystical Herculean true qi. He was not knowledgeable regarding other stuff, so naturally, he didn't realize his soul was already being eroded by the cold. At this point, even if he went inside a furnace, he would still feel incomparably cold. Noticing Xiao Chou's power constantly weakening, Chen Shang knew the ice spirit devil aura had already seeped into Xiao Chou's soul, which would slowly erode his soul, rendering him unable to control his own terrifying strength. Property of path-of-translation.com. Sister Yu, devil technique is extremely formidable. Are you sure no one will find out? Chen Shang was pleasantly surprised, but he was still a little worried. Don't be afraid. It was only because the ice spirit devil aura is too strange and strong that it was incorporated as devil techniques. By itself, the aura is not insidious. It's just that the righteous sects will not accept the use of devil techniques like the engulfing devil techniques. Bai Yu dismissively said. She felt a little happy from Chen Zhang's praise of her devil techniques. After all, Chen Shang rarely had the chance to utilize these devil techniques in public. Chapter 330. The Dragoness Prowess. The Dragoness Prowess. Chen Shang was not as powerful as Xiao Chou. But as he was a Shinto cultivator, in regards to divine sense, Xiao Chou was not as good as him. That was why he could successfully inject the ice spirit devil aura into Xiao Chou's soul, thereby freezing his mind. Property of path-of-translation.com. Xiao Chou only felt inexplicably cold. He could not understand why Chen Shang, who was a powerful alchemist, could actually have such a terrifying cold true qi. According to general consensus, an alchemist should have very strong flames. Property of path-of-translation.com. Both of them mindlessly punched at each other. Whenever Chen Shang sent a punch, it was matched by Xiao Chou. At the same time, Xiao Chou took the opportunity to counterattack by infusing the Herculean true qi in his punches, counterattacking Chen Zhang's punch with his punch. The speed of their punches was extremely quick, the onlookers could only catch a glimpse of numerous flickering after shadows of punches. At the beginning, Chen Shang was forced to retreat after retreat. But now, the speed of Chen Zhang's retreat was getting increasingly slower. And finally, he came to a standstill, which made everyone slightly surprised. Originally they believed that Chen Shang would be the first one to tire himself out and finally be defeated by Xiao Chou. Because from the get-go Xiao Chou's imposing manner had been sufficient to defeat Chen Shang. The Herculean true qi in Xiao Chou's body was still very rich, it was just that he was feeling too cold. He felt his body was a little out of his control. He wasn't able to unleash his complete strength, his speed and strength, both had been weakened by a lot. Property of path-of-translation.com. Chen Shang secretly felt proud. However, he still felt it was still lacking. Because Xiao Chou has yet to completely collapsed. He wanted this arrogant little prick to be completely powerless to fight back from torture. And finally, be defeated by Long Shui's strongest power. To let him know why flowers were so red, and to let him know how ridiculous he was for claiming himself as a descendant of a god. Property of path-of-translation.com. Xiao Ziliang had also noticed something, but he didn't know what had happened. he believed Xiao Chou should not have consumed his power so quickly. Property of path-of-translation.com. Tang Yichao, Yu Zhongling and the others upon watching this secretly felt happy. In the beginning, seeing Xiao Chou's strength, they believed Chen Shang would lose without a shred of doubt. But now Chen Shang instead had the potential to win. When they had lost against Chen Shang, they didn't want to see Xiao Ziliang win. If that happened it would make them feel uncomfortable. Property of path-of-translation.com. What in the hell did that little rascal did? How can that little brat become so weak? Lu Menjir eyebrows twitched. These deans had a very sinister vision. They realized something was wrong, but they still could not understand. Property of path-of-translation.com. At this time, Chen Shang infused, even more, Ice Spirit Devil Aura, which sent Xiao Chou on the brink of collapse. However, his counterattacks were still somewhat powerful, which made Chen Shang admire him. Property of path-of-translation.com. Both of them have been fighting for a long time. Initially, Chen Shang had been suppressed, but now Chen Shang had perfectly reversed the situation. Much to everyone's surprise, now Xiao Chou was forced into retreat after retreat. Because Xiao Chou's counterattack had weakened a lot compared from the start. Yet Chen Zhang's power had been just the same. Evidently, there was something wrong with Xiao Chou, accredited to which Chen Shang could last a little longer than Xiao Chou. Little rascal, no matter how good you think you are, there is always someone out there that is better. Chen Shang ridiculed. Property of path-of-translation.com. Chen Shang, don't use your cold power. Xiao Chou was choking up with anger. He felt inexplicably cold, which rendered him powerless physically, even though his spirit was willing. A powerless body could not be controlled, he could only helplessly watch himself getting suppressed to death by the enemy. Chen Shang sneered and said, "Don't talk nonsense. If you've guts, then don't use your Herculean true chi and then fight with me." Freezing power. The deans were suddenly shocked. This made it even more incomprehensible for them, because from the beginning they had not sensed Chen Shang using any cold true chi. Chen Shang is definitely using some martial technique. Otherwise, why would Xiao Chou shiver occasionally? It must be from cold. Apparently, that little rascal, Xiao Chou is feeling cold all over his body. Lian Yingxiao doubtfully said. He had seen and experienced many things, yet he had never heard of this kind of martial technique. Property of path-of-translation.com. Exactly at this time, the speed of Xiao Chou's punches went down a little. As the white tiger head on Chen Zhang's fist landed upon Xiao Chou's little face, he uttered a blood-curdling scream. Apparently, Chen Shang had put everything in his fist. "Little rascal, I'll let you experience father's true strength," Chen Shang said with a laugh. Chen Shang suddenly let loose his full strength. Whether it was his speed or his strength, both of them had substantially increased. The brutal white tiger divine fists ruthlessly landed upon Xiao Chou. Although the punches appeared to be random, they all struck upon Xiao Chou's body, such that small body was suspended in the air from the blows. Property of path-of-translation.com. Watching Xiao Chou being ruthlessly ravaged by Chen Zhang's brutal punches, everyone was secretly clucking their tongue. Terrifying taiga's roar resounded one after another, reverberating everywhere. The echoes in the sky gave off the impression as if a flock of ferocious tigers was fiercely wrestling each other. Now, Chen Zhang's white tiger divine fists were not only extraordinary. When they landed upon Xiao Chou's body, the bizarre ice spirit devil aura directly seeped into Xiao Chou's body, and in a very large amount. Now Chen Shang had successfully destroyed Xiao Chou's firm will with the ice spirit devil aura. It ravaged Xiao Chou's spirit. Xiao Chou felt as if he was in a land of ice and snow filled with deathly cold chi. Property of path-of-translation.com. This brat, what in the bloody hell did he do? Hua Xiangyu's pretty eyes twinkled. Although Chen Zhang's reversal wasn't sudden, it was still difficult to comprehend. Xiao Ziliang was extremely anxious. Xiao Chou was his ace, yet he had been defeated by Chen Shang in such a way. Property of path-of-translation.com. Almost there. If Xiao Ziliang stopped the fight, then all will be for nothing. Long Shui hastily said. She was very much looking forward to the combined blow of her and Chen Shang. Use the heavenly dragon seal, smack this little rascal on the ground. Long Shui shouted. Property of path-of-translation.com. Heavenly dragon seal, not to mention it would be cast along with Long Shui, which would be extremely frightening. Property of path-of-translation.com. Will this kill him? Although this little rascal is a little arrogant, he is also from the Herculean family, he is just young and ignorant. Chen Shang asked. Property of path-of-translation.com. The Herculean family is not so weak as you imagine, otherwise he would have already died. You just need to release your divine sense and fuse together with my divine sense. Then leave the rest to me. I'll cast the most powerful heavenly dragon seal, it will be completely different from yours. Long Shui replied. Chen Shang, while beating Xiao Chou, followed Long Shui's instructions. Very soon, his divine sense fused with Long Shui's. What took him aback was that everyone's situation inside their body was in his panoramic view. Besides a mass of clouds inside the dantians of a few deans, it was difficult to see. For the others, he could see everything clearly. Property of path-of-translation.com. Everyone caught sight of Chen Zhang's slightly moving lips as if he was saying something. That was the chant of the heavenly dragon seal, however, it was being completed by Long Shui. Property of path-of-translation.com. This chant was different from what Chen Shang had read before, it was extremely complex. Chen Shang could clearly feel in his body the insanely surging true qi and the booming mana. In his body, an extremely complex spirit pattern was being created. What is this brat going to do? Ji Yu Dongchen hastily retreated a couple of steps and looked up at the sky. Everyone also found the sky densely covered in dark clouds. The spirit qi above the fragrance city was now surging above the square. In the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, the clouds surged as if a terrifying beast was tearing the sky, falling upon the mortal world. Property of path-of-translation.com. Xiao Ziliang and the others had long heard of Chen Shang having many powerful martial techniques, but this was the first time they got to see it. Chapter 331. The Furious Dragon's Retribution. The Furious Dragon's Retribution. Chen Zhang's punch sent Xiao Chou flying. Xiao Chou was indeed from the Herculean clan. After Xiao Chou had experienced such an attack, he still was able to open his eyes and ruthlessly stare at Chen Shang. Meanwhile, Xiao Chou was getting up. He heard Long Shui's tender snort before four white dragon claws suddenly emerged from the ground, tightly clutching Xiao Chou's arms and feet, forcing him to lay on the ground. In the sky, the tyrannical spirit qi began to surge, accompanied with a fierce gale of wind, and the occasional rumbling of the lightning. It gave off the impression as if a storm was approaching. Some people only thought it was a coincidence, they didn't believe Chen Shang would have the rain and the wind at his beck and call. However, the deans sensed the power gathering up in the sky. Even in their dreams, they had never thought of the existence of such fearsome martial technique, which could gather the heaven and earth spirit qi to attack. Xiao Ziliang felt far from good. At this time he noticed Xiao Chou's arms and feet tightly clasped by four white claws from the ground. Not good. Xiao Ziliang just thought of stopping the fight. He noticed a glaring white light flashing out from the tar-black sky densely covered in dark clouds, accompanied by a deafening roar. It was as if the world has been shrouded by a dragon's roar. It felt as if a dragon was tearing the sky, and was going to appear in the mortal world. The deans were all deeply shaken by this kind of momentum. Heavenly Dragon Seal. Furious Dragon's Retribution. In Chen Zhang's mind resounded Long Shui's tender shout, before a huge white dragon suddenly tore open the dark clouds. The dragon had its head pointed down, as it charged downwards. The dragon only appeared for an instant, before the dragon's head fiercely ran into the ground, directly colliding with Xiao Chou's young figure. Quickly jump! Ji Yu Dongchen thunderously roared. After the white dragon fell from the sky, like a lightning strike, straight down bombarding upon Xiao Chou's body, then merged into the ground. Suddenly, many fissures appeared on that huge square in the blink of an eye. Those huge yet thick bricks were all suddenly smashed into pieces. Now the square was like a small lake tossing fiercely up and down, waves upon waves of dust and stones began to appear. The whole square was submerged in dust, many people even jumped into the air to avoid the fierce turmoil. When they landed upon the square had been turned upside down. In some places the ground had been raised, like small mounds, and in some, many fissures had appeared. It looked really horrible. But only one place was fairly complete. It was precisely the area where the four Nirvana realm martial artists had laid down the barrier. However, the bricks on the ground had all been destroyed. Chen Shang stood there, gasping for breath. Xiao Ziliang stared dumbfoundedly, he felt giddy watching the whole scene. At this time, someone had started shouting curses, as people started to crawl out of a thick layer of dust. Some people released their strength and attacked from deep within the ground, to let others know and rescue them. Xiao Ziliang's complexion looked far from good. More than half of the square had been ravaged, his eyes were filled with killing intent when looking at Chen Shang. He could not wait to immediately rush over to Chen Shang and pound him to death. But he didn't dare to. not to mention even if he tried he wouldn't succeed, because Ji Dongchen was watching over him. Tang Yichao and the others were also extremely shocked. They were all quite confident regarding their barrier. After all, it was jointly laid down by 4 people. But the square was still ravaged like this. In their heart, they were all secretly excited, because Xiao Ziliang must compensate this debt. Hua Shangyu and Lu Mengzhi, from the beginning to end, had been watching very clearly from the top of the tower. Although the square had been ravaged, Hua Shangyu was flushed red from happiness. From the beginning, she had not hoped for any compensation, for the 4 Nirvana realm martial artists had jointly laid down the barrier. She only wanted Xiao Ziliang to give a guarantee, so as to avoid any accidents. And now, the accident did occur. Moreover, much to everyone's surprise, the entire square had been ravaged and it was all Chen Zhang's work. 10 billion. Not to mention, the square would only cost 1 billion or so to reconstruct, that's all. Hua Shangyu felt she made a fortune. Chen Shang was turning pleasing to the eyes the more she looked. She could not wait to swoop down to hug Chen Shang and give him a kiss. I won, quickly pay me. Chen Shang was also stunned for a while because the heavenly dragon seal cast by Long Shui had been too terrifying. In particular, after the furious white dragon materialized from the energy pierced through Xiao Chou, it ignored the barrier on the ground and deeply entered the ground before the explosion of all the energy, which led to the destruction of the square. Ji Dongchen and Wu Kaming hastily landed behind Chen Shang, because Xiao Ziliang had already been shivering from anger and was releasing a terrifying pressure. Hua Shangyu also quickly swooped over, stood next to Chen Shang and dismissively said, Xiao Ziliang, you must keep your word, my square is now destroyed like this. Xiao Ziliang now felt a mouthful of blood was stuck in his throat. He wanted to vomit, yet it won't come out. He very much wanted to attack. He would not hesitate to obliterate Chen Shang. But now Ji Dongchen, Wu Kaming, and Hua Shangyu were all here. If he attacked, Ji Dongchen and the others too would retaliate. At that time, he not only would not be able to kill Chen Shang, he may very well fall instead. Chen Shang slightly smiled, and very magnanimously said, Senior Xiao, I'm sorry. Although it was me who had destroyed the square, you must be held accountable for it. So be it, I only want you to pay me 100 million crystal stones. Hua Shangyu was going to get 10 billion crystal stones. He is definitely going to get his share. In the face of that, a short 100 million was nothing. At this time Tang Yichao, and the others one by one walked over and threw a storage pouch to Chen Shang, then quickly took their leave. They were worried that Xiao Ziliang would borrow from them. The true martial sect, the beast martial sect, and the proud sword sect had given Chen Shang a total of 500 million, that was equivalent to 100,000 true elemental dans. Although they were extremely unhappy, they could not help but concede. Chen Zhang's strength was truly heaven-defying. Moreover, behind him was Ji Dongchen, who was extremely strong too. This time he had also helped the Danxiang Taoyuan's dean. Hua Shangyu earned 10 billion crystal stones. She would certainly regard him as a treasure and protect him. After considering that if they continued to struggle with Chen Shang, even before the big storm had arrived, their sect would definitely be obliterated by the extreme martial sect, they decided to wait until the big storm had settled. They must quickly develop their sect well before the arrival of the upcoming big storm. After this trouble, Chen Zhang's reputation would once again be pushed to the pinnacle. Such a terrifying young man would certainly become the pillar of the extreme martial sect. Everyone believed that there was a great possibility of Chen Shang becoming the next extreme martial sect's dean. Hua Shangyu gave Xiao Ziliang a breath of respite. She was worried that Xiao Ziliang, in his anger, would do something. By then she would never get to see her 10 billion. Xiao Ziliang continuously took deep breaths for a while. Only after that, he felt a lot better. He had lived for a long time. For the first time he had been angered to death, and it was not an exaggeration. When the dean's position had been taken over by Huang Jintian, he had not suffered this much. And all this was caused by Chen Shang. I currently don't have so much. I will pay you in installments in 50 years, every year I will pay you 200 million. I never said I will give it all in one go. The free immortal sea established by Xiao Ziliang was still very young. He also knew the big storm was about to come. If he paid it in one go, his free immortal sea's coffer would be emptied. For these deans 50 years was simply nothing. Hua Shangyu also had a sense of propriety. She knew she could not force too quickly. Anyway, Xiao Ziliang's people were still here. He could not run away. Chapter 332. The 10,000 Years Old Spirit Milk. The 10,000 Years Old Spirit Milk. Xiao Ziliang paid Chen Shang 100 million, originally it was 200 million, but Chen Shang had exempted him 100 million. This decreased his hatred of Chen Shang a little. Looking at Chen Zhang's face, Xiao Ziliang could not help but associate it to that madman, Huang Jintian. He could not help but feel terrified. He realized Chen Shang definitely had some relation with Huang Jintian, yet he didn't voice it out. Hatred begets hatred. Xiao Ziliang still had a sense of propriety. He was quite aware of the fact that Huang Jintian had been sealed in the extreme martial sect's forbidden land was just a disguise. If Huang Jintian was angered, that would have very serious repercussions. Xiao Ziliang also paid 200 million worth of true elemental dans to Hua Shangyu, then picked up the perplexed Xiaoqiu and left. He just wanted to quickly return and sleep like a log, forget what had happened today. In his eyes Chen Shang was a little madman, although still in adolescent phase, he deeply dreaded his potential. Finally I can relax, with this I have severed the past enmities of the sect, in the future, they should not trouble me again. Chen Zhang's laughter resounded for a while. Brat, you should be tired. Let's head back to the extreme martial sect. Ji Yu Dongchen said. He cannot return yet, he still doesn't know how to use the 10,000 years old spirit milk. I've to carefully explain it to him. Hua Shangyu said, if it's all right with you, I can bring him back to the extreme martial sect later. Ji Yu Dongchen was secretly jealous of Chen Shang. When he arrived, he came with Lu Menger. During his return, he would be with Hua Shangyu. He now realized, not only Chen Zhang's potential was extremely good, his luck with the opposite sex was not bad at all. First and foremost, Lu Menger and Hua Shangyu were both noble girls who were in a prominent position. It was very rare for any man to be placed in their eyes. Then I'll have to trouble you. Ji Yu Dongchen said, then pulled out some disciples buried under the rubble. Besides Zhu Rong, Yun Xiaodao, and the others, a row of people had all quickly jumped into the air, that was why they had not been buried. When Wu Kaming had pulled Zhu Rong out, Chen Shang and the others started laughing. Finally, Yun Xiaodao and the others followed Ji Yu Dongchen and Wu Kaming to the extreme martial sect. Hua Shangyu told some Danxiang Taoyuan's disciples to look for the buried people. None who had arrived here were ordinary people, they could definitely remain alive for some time. Chen Shang arrived at the 22nd floor of the Danxiang Tower. Lu Menger, realizing he was safe, also took her leave. However, when he arrived at the floor, he could still smell the lingering fragrance of Lu Menger. Danxiang's dean, I helped you earn 10 billion crystal stones, how are you going to thank me? Chen Shang said, giggling. After he knew Hua Shangyu was the Danxiang Taoyuan's dean, he wantonly molested her even more. Because he thought it would give him a great sense of conquest in molesting a dean, within such a prominent position. In particular a character like Hua Shangyu. Naturally, Hua Shangyu was very grateful to Chen Shang. She tenderly laughed and said, how about I repay with my body? While speaking, she began to undress. As her white robe fell off, only a layer of white muslin wrapped around her bountiful chest came into Chen Zhang's view, outlining her exquisite figure. Her slender waist and her clearly visible collarbone were soul-stirring to Chen Shang. Chen Shang could not help blush red. He hastily said, forget it, I've got a wife, don't seduce me. Seeing Chen Shang like this, Hua Shangyu was a little disappointed. Pooh, then why did you lay your hand on Menger? She is your wife's teacher. You, little rascal, is really bad, gaining both master and apprentice. Hua Shangyu teasingly smiled and said, then put her clothes back on. Chen Shang also did not explain. He spread his hands and said, quickly teach me how to use the 10,000 years old spirit milk, I want to quickly return to the extreme martial sect. Humph, do you find me annoying? Don't you want to get together with me? Hua Shangyu tenderly snorted and said. She intentionally revealed a sad expression on her charming and moving face. This appearance appeared to be very delicate and touching, making others feel the urge to love her tenderly. How could I? But I have important things to do. If I find sister annoying, I wouldn't have helped you earn so much. Chen Shang hastily said. Although he knew Hua Shangyu was just pretending, he still felt that this woman clearly knew how to seduce others. Hua Shangyu sniggered. No wonder Menger had been snatched by you, little rascal, it seems you truly are skillful. This sister is beginning to like you, but unfortunately I don't have a beautiful apprentice. In the face of this woman's bold seduction, Chen Shang remained indifferent. But he was still extremely grateful to Hua Shangyu. If not for her intentionally making him draw a tattered furnace, he would not have gone another level forward on the great Tao of alchemy. Sister Shangyu, I deeply appreciate your kindness during the alchemy tournament, otherwise I would have not progressed so fast, thank you. Chen Shang spoke sincerely. Seeing Chen Zhang's face filled with smiling expression, Hua Shangyu felt warm. She felt she had not liked Chen Shang in vain. She giggled and said, "Dear brother, it's nice that you can understand sisters, my pain. However, you truly surprised me, you have unexpectedly learned refining simulation technique. Sister Shangyu, your eyesight is truly good, you actually noticed that." Chen Shang was also taken by surprise. At any rate, sister is still a top alchemist of the Chenwu mainland. Naturally, I've noticed it. However, maybe you, little rascal, will surpass me. Hua Shangyu smiled and said. Next, Hua Shangyu began to teach how to use the 10,000 years old spirit milk. What caught Chen Shang by surprise was that the 10,000 years old spirit milk was unexpectedly extremely similar to the golden dragon saliva. However, its ability to accelerate growth was a lot stronger. If you pour a drop on a tree, it could make the tree quickly grow by 1,000 years, however, his golden dragon saliva would at least require more than 100 drops to do the same. The 10,000 years old spirit milk is extremely rare, my Danxiang Taoyuan also doesn't have many, you better treasure it. Hua Shangyu exhorted. I intend to help Sister Menger gather the herbs for refining the Resurrection Dan, by then I'll seek Sister's help in refining it. I want to give her a surprise, don't tell her. Chen Shang mysteriously said. Hua Shangyu was slightly surprised for a moment, she didn't expect Chen Shang to actually have such feelings. She found Chen Zhang's and Lu Menger's feelings ran extremely deep, which made her slightly envious. She had known Lu Menger for a long time, they would occasionally talk about a man and a woman feelings, however, she didn't expect Lu Menger to fall in love first, moreover, fall in love with her apprentice's man. Sister, is the Danxiang Taoyuan is established by you? Chen Shang asked in low voice. But of course, I'm extremely formidable, right? Hua Shangyu proudly smiled and said. You're really formidable, I really regret not receiving you, as my maidservant, alas. Chen Shang while speaking, had a look of remorse. Hua Shangyu giggled, at that time I knew you'd come to regret it, if you still wish to, I'm still willing to be your maidservant. Chen Shang was taken aback, he asked, really? Of course, it's true, I have already said it before, I definitely want to be your maidservant. Hua Shangyu mischievously smiled and said, it looked like a joke, yet not. Let's put it off for some time, if I have you as my maidservant, Sister Menger and Shenxian will be jealous. However, I'll consider it. Chen Shang smiled and said. Upon hearing his answer, Hua Shangyu gave him a grim look. You're quite shameful, just a while ago you were regretting, now you don't want to. Hua Shangyu said with a pout, then grabbed Chen Shang, and flew out the window. In the blink of an eye, they had arrived in the outskirts of the fragrant city. Chapter 333, Re-entering the Forbidden Land. Re-entering the Forbidden Land. Translator by Ash. Edited, Fingerfox. Chen Shang secretly grabbed Hua Shangyu's beautiful hands. Hua Shangyu was pulling Chen Shang and leapt continuously, she moved so fast that Chen Shang was gasping for breath. Hua Shangyu didn't even consider his feelings, like this she returned Chen Shang to the extreme martial sect. When Chen Shang had been thrown in front of Ji Yu Dongchen and Wu Keiming, he was left unrecognizable. His hair was a mess, his clothes were tattered, and his complexion was a little pale. I've safely brought the brat. Hua Shangyu dropped this sentence, then angrily left. Ji Yu Dongchen and Wu Keiming was a little surprised, they didn't know why Hua Shangyu was angry. They speculated that Chen Shang must have angered Hua Shangyu. Naturally, Chen Shang was aware of why Hua Shangyu was angry, however, he still could not understand for what reason she was furious about, was it because he had not accepted her as his maidservant? Once Chen Shang returned, he had been brought to a private room by Wu Keiming and Ji Yu Dongchen. They appeared to be very cautious, even in the extreme martial mysterious realm. From looking at their appearance, it was clear that they wanted to talk about something very confidential. What is it? Speak quickly, don't you know that an alchemist's time is very precious? Chen Shang lazily said. He was a little tired, he wanted to take a good rest, and then plant some plants and flower, and refine some dans. Ji Yu Dongchen replied, young martial uncle, Xiao Ziliang was used to be that old madman's rival. But now he has established the free immortal sea, I'm worried that he is plotting something. That's why we want you to go and ask that old madman so that we can know a little more about Xiao Ziliang. I'm sure he'll be very interested in this matter. After hearing that he had to look for his mad master, Chen Shang suddenly felt his whole body was wrapped in an inexplicable pain. Last time when he had come out, he swore that he would not ever return to that place. Why don't you go? Chen Shang snorted. Although he had spent some little time with his master, Huang Jintian, he was extremely clear regarding his master's temper. If he went to Huang Jintian, he must suffer some torture for a while. That old madman was quite proficient in torturing, he would not let you die or be seriously injured, yet he would never let you forget, he would ingrain a lifelong fear into you. You are his apprentice, as such, you are closer to him. Moreover, the big storm is about to arrive, you have to ask him his opinion. Ji Dongchen forcefully smiled and said. Speaking of going to the old madman, he and Wu Keiming very much dreaded him, it was quite obvious, they too had suffered no little torture in his hands. Wu Keiming smiled wryly, to tell you the truth, whenever we are preparing to cross the Nirvana tribulation, we will go to the old madman. In regards to crossing the Nirvana tribulation, he is extremely knowledgeable. Ji Dongchen heaved a long sigh, in his eyes a sliver of fear appeared. After all, he had crossed so many tribulations, he must have gone to Huang Jintian many times, the outcome can be imagined. Little bald, when you are going to cross the Nirvana tribulation, why not ask your dean, why go to the old madman? Do you want to get tortured? Chen Shang asked. Do you think, I've some screw loose? If dean can help me solve the problem, why would I do such stupid thing? Wu Keiming heaved a sigh and said. Lu Menjie was going to cross the Nirvana tribulation, he initially intended to ask Ji Dongchen to share his experience with her, but now it seemed to be useless. Why can little Featherhead not solve your problem? Chen Shang persistently asked. Because everyone's Nirvana tribulation is a lot different. I can only tell what to pay attention while crossing the Nirvana tribulation. But that old madman could most likely predict which Nirvana tribulation he is going to experience. This is also his big secret. Not to mention, he must be cursed by heaven, because he is divulging its secrets. Ji Dongchen suppressed his voice and said. Chen Shang, in his heart, was surprised. He didn't expect his mad master to actually be so formidable. This ability was truly heaven-defying. How does master predicts? Chen Shang asked. This I don't have any idea. When my master was ascending to the heavenly realm, he quietly told us that if we want to smoothly cross the tribulation, it is better to find that old madman. He can make sure that we can at least have 80% chance to smoothly cross the tribulation. Ji Dongchen shook his head and said. 80% chance. This not only scared the hell out of Chen Shang, but it was also similarly true for Su Meiyao, Bai Yu and Long Shuiyi, all three of them. After all, when crossing the tribulation, many martial artists didn't even have 10% chance to cross the tribulation successfully. Young martial uncle, you still have to go see the old man, after all, he has the mysterious power to predict things. Ji Dongchen said. Chen Shang nodded his head, no problem, but let me rest for a day, I'm worried that I cannot withstand the torture. With Chen Zhang's agreement, Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming both felt extremely sentimental. At this time, they both gloatingly looked at Chen Shang. The next day, Chen Shang followed Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming deeper into the extreme martial mysterious realm. In addition to the extreme martial sect's 3 tycoons, others could not arbitrarily enter this place. There were still a lot of secrets inside the extreme martial mysterious realm. So far Chen Shang only knew of the forbidden land imprisoning Huang Jintian. There were many other places where he could not casually move around. Looking at the deep bottomless huge pit, Chen Shang summoned up his courage and jumped inside. Ha ha ha, little rascal, why have you come? You've truly surprised me. Oh, have you reached the 5th level immortal in devil body? Well, you also have a fire spirit, little guy, you can indeed make others jealous. Huang Jintian looked just like before. His white hair was disheveled, his whole body was dirty. However, his sharp eyes instead projected a strange aura. The bottom was a little bright. Upon noticing his despicable master who had been kept here for so long, he secretly pitied him. Master, I can have such good luck as all due to your elder's blessing. Chen Shang mischievously smiled and said. If he flattered him a little, he thought he would be tortured a little less. Huang Jintian smiled like a naughty child. Upon seeing his smile, Chen Shang could not laugh but rather had an urge to cry. Come, let your teacher have a good look. While speaking, those skinny hands of Huang Jintian were like lightning, pressed upon Chen Zhang's shoulder, which was followed by waves of blood-curdling screams. Upon hearing Chen Zhang's screams, Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming had their scalp tingling. They too had once shouted just like this, not to mention, so many times. Chen Shang felt as if he was being carefully cut by Huang Jintian, piece by piece. His body as if had been squeezed by that powerful true qi flowing inside Huang Jintian from every direction. Not bad, you brat has grown faster than I have expected, ha ha ha. With the burst of that nauseating Huang Jintian's maniac laughter, finally Chen Zhang's hell-like torture had come to an end. It had been nearly 2 hours. Quickly get up, don't waste time, you must cultivate. Huang Jintian kicked Chen Zhang's waist. Chen Shang powerlessly moaned, Master, apprentice can't even move even if I want to, let your apprentice rest a little. I've heard this sentence many times before, you've said it, your senior brother had said it, your senior brother's apprentices had also said the same, hey. But at last I could finally prove, they all lied because they could move. Huang Jintian said, before he released his power, making the pleading Chen Shang suspend in the air. Pain once again spread throughout Chen Zhang's whole body, which forced him to immediately howl. He shouted, I can move, I'll cultivate. Chapter 334, Foretell. After Chen Shang came down, he simply didn't have the chance to ask any question. Occasionally he would almost get the opportunity to ask, but Huang Jintian acted as he had not heard anything. In a flash, 3 months went by. Just about right, brat, your foundation is almost solid. You've progressed too quickly, although you have timely consolidated your cultivation, it was far from enough. In the future, you better make time to come here. Otherwise, you can forget to compete in the heavenly realm. Huang Jintian looked solemn. Now he didn't have that maniac look. Instead, he gave the impression of a strict master. Under the hands of Huang Jintian, Chen Shang had to suffer torture for 3 months. But he still forcefully laughed and said, thank you, master, your apprentice will follow your teachings. Anyway, little guy, you're definitely not going to come to this old man, the question that you wanted to ask before, ask it again. Huang Jintian scoffingly said. Chen Shang awkwardly smiled, and asked, Master, do you remember Xiao Ziliang? He has now established some free immortal sea, some time ago he had been maliciously swindled by me. Now I'm worried that he might take his revenge because I've made him lose a lot. So, I would like to get some information about him. Next, Chen Shang described the incident of the Fragrance City's square in detail. After Huang Jintian finished listening, he immediately burst into his maniac laughter, you don't have to worry. Although Xiao Ziliang is a little narrow-minded, he isn't that bad. He is not stupid, he should have definitely noticed that you're my apprentice. Even if that bastard borrowed the galls of 10,000 dogs, he wouldn't have the courage to take any action against you. He would not even dare to make a move on the extreme martial sect. Bullshit-free immortal sea, he had established it almost to vent his anger. Although Huang Jintian was insane, his words were extremely trustworthy. This made Chen Shang heave a sigh of relief. Xiao Ziliang is a very timid guy. I think after crossing his 7th nirvana tribulation, he dares to come and flaunt his prowess. But he had not expected little Featherhead to have already crossed the 8th tribulation. Although Xiao Ziliang had lived a good-for-nothing life, if he could make it till now, then that is something to commend. From our era, not many are still alive, most of us have vanished during their nirvana tribulation, not even their ashes were left. Huang Jintian gave a long sigh. Chen Shang now realized Nirvana realm martial artists were not so omnipotent, at least, they dreaded the Nirvana tribulation. Xiao Ziliang is rather formidable in laying out arrays, if you need to, you can directly go to him. Looking at my face, he will certainly help you. Huang Jintian slightly smiled and caressed his greasy beard. Chen Shang was secretly pleased to have such a strong master. He thought if his master were not a maniac, and had some kindness, he would be perfect. Every time he would come down it would not feel like descending into hell. Master, you can prophesize, right? I would like to ask you about someone who is going to be crossing the Nirvana tribulation. Chen Shang asked. Who is it? Her name is Lu Menger. She is the Empress of the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. Right, before it was used to be called the Divine Weapon Sect. Chen Shang quickly replied, waiting for Huang Jintian's reply, a look of anticipation hung upon his face. A sliver of strange light flashed past those deep eyes of Huang Jintian, that divine couple's daughter. Nice brat, are you hooked up with her? She is in Nirvana realm, brat, your luck with the opposite sex have even surprised me, your master. Chen Shang wryly smiled and replied, fairly ordinary, master, do you know her parents? I knew her father and mother. They were characters from my era, and even stronger than me. That couple was very strange. Everyone felt they were unlike the natives of the mortal world. In short, you hooking up with their daughter is a good thing. She is but my apprentice daughter-in-law, hey hey. Huang Jintian patted Chen Zhang's shoulder, smiled and said, you're something. Chen Shang already knew Lu Menger's parents were extraordinary, but he had not expected that Huang Jintian also did not know the exact details of them. Wait a bit, I'll calculate for you. While speaking, Huang Jintian extended his arm, before a Tai Chi yin and yang diagram emerged above his palm. His eyes also gradually turned into intertwining black and white like a rotating Tai Chi diagram, while the yin and yang Tai Chi diagram above his palm quickly started rotating. Watching the Tai Chi diagram upon Huang Jintian's palm, Chen Shang was extremely astonished. In particular, after noticing a mess of texts appearing on the Tai Chi diagram, he, even more, felt unimaginable. 3 days and nights had gone just like this, yet Huang Jintian continued to remain in the same state. Chen Shang waited patiently, although he didn't know how Huang Jintian was going to do it. He knew Huang Jintian must have some fortuitous encounter, only then would he came into possession of such ability. Huang Jintian opened his eyes, the small and exquisite Tai Chi yin and yang diagram above his palm turned into a little yin and yang ball. He frowned and said, that little girl's nirvana tribulation is unexpectedly so frightening, could it be she have some powerful thing inside her? Chen Shang nodded his head and replied, Master, she has a purple-colored fire spirit. An unusual fire spirit. Not only does she have a fire spirit, but she should also have something with fire attribute, her fire spirit should have fire and cold attribute. Huang Jintian said. Lu Menger had the fire spirit and the vermilion bird tender thread, both of which were powerful things. Now Chen Shang couldn't help but admire his master, much to his surprise, he had guessed both. Chen Shang nodded his head. Just as he wanted to speak, Huang Jintian stopped him, don't, tell me what it is. You give this to her, make her fuse it with her mind, the rest she had to see for herself. Huang Jintian handed the yin and yang ball to Chen Shang. He sternly exhorted, inside it are the details of the events she has to face during her tribulation, aside from the heaven and the earth, only she and I can know. Once it is leaked out, it will not be accurate. Chen Shang nodded his head continuously before he stored the yin and yang ball safely. Master, how did you do it? I want to learn. Chen Shang was a little excited. The refining simulation technique was a little similar to predicting the future. However, it was used to predict the future events in the alchemical furnace, rather than predicting the future events of the world. Huang Jintian shook his head, you cannot learn this. Otherwise, you'll die. Although the possessor of yin and yang divine vein could learn this secret method, ordinary people don't have the life to offer as a price. This technique will shorten its user's life. But as your master he cannot die, he is fearless. Chen Shang was surprised for a moment. He suddenly felt his teacher was one mysterious guy. Unexpectedly he could not die. Brat, do you still have some questions? Huang Jintian patted his head and slightly smiled. I do, I want to ask when the big storm is going to arrive. Also, what is your opinion regarding this? The big storm was the great battle of the three realms. He was also very concerned regarding this. When Chen Shang started asking this, Huang Jintian's eyebrows were tightly knit. For a long time, he didn't speak anything, he looked solemn. Huang Jintian was dignified, he didn't have the appearance of a maniac, which clearly indicated that what he was going to say and do was imperative. Chen Shang too didn't urge but waited patiently. Since you have obtained the black tortoise adamantine armor, then you should have the ability to go that place to get something similar, that thing will be useful to you. While speaking, God knows where, in Huang Jintian's hand appeared a piece of cloth, upon which he quickly painted, which soon took the form of a map. Chapter 335, The Suppressing Devil Divine Exercise. The Suppressing Devil Divine Exercise. Hi guys. I've been back home from month-long trip. Now you can expect stable release of the chapters. Here is the long-awaited sponsored chapter, which I've been putting on hold for a long time. This chapter is sponsored by Agnishwar Chowdhury and Isa Al-Musalam. Thank you for your support. Huang Jintian quickly drew the map. After handing it over to Chen Shang he said, you have to go the 100,000 Devil Mountain. When you have arrived there, take out this map, it should allow you to find the way to get the Suppressing Devil Divine Exercise. Much to Chen Zhang's surprise, the Suppressing Devil Divine Exercise was yet another divine exercise. Since coming down here, Su Meiyao, Bai Yuyu, and Long Shui turned silent. They seemed to be worried about being found out by Huang Jintian. Moreover, they all faintly felt, Huang Jintian, this strange old had sensed their existence. After cultivating the suppressing devil divine exercise, it will let you have the suppressing devil yuan qi. This suppressing devil yuan qi can integrate with your true qi. For dealing with demons and devils, for these two existences, it will be a lot more fatal. The suppressing devil yuan qi is not so easy to learn. However, I believe that you'll be able to learn. Huang Jintian explained. Chen Shang doubtfully asked, Master, do you know the subduing devil divine exercise? That is the 100,000 devil mountain, isn't it very dangerous? Brat, you even dare to come down here, still afraid to go to the 100,000 devil mountain. Huang Jintian scoffingly said, the subduing devil divine exercise is only useful for dealing with the natives of the demon and devil world. For dealing with the martial artists of the human world, it is completely useless. When the big storm arrives, the martial artists of the demon and devil world will come running. The suppressing devil divine exercise will play a crucial role in fighting them. Chen Shang stuck out his tongue. If the great battle of the three realms was not going to happen, naturally, no one was going to learn this useless martial exercise. The whereabouts of the suppressing devil divine exercise is handed down by the extreme martial founding father. Even little Featherhead is not aware of it, you just have to go to the 100,000 devil mountain. Although it is a little dangerous, you will not have any problem in dealing it. The great battle of the three realms is nothing to joke about, it is very cruel. Not to mention, you, with your little abilities, even the Nirvana realm martial artists would fall in large numbers. Huang Jintian sighed and said. Chen Shang heaved a bitter sigh because he was unexpectedly caught up in this storm. Not to mention, he still didn't know when it was going to arrive. If there is nothing else that you want to say, then quickly get the hell out. Don't waste my time, Huang Jintian said. Right, keep in mind don't say anything about the suppressing devil divine exercise to little Featherhead and the others. It will be useless for them to cultivate, they are not suitable to cultivate this martial exercise. Chen Shang didn't have enough time to say goodbye, he had been kicked up once again by Huang Jintian. Little bald, I've returned alive. Chen Shang lying down on the ground, looking at the bright sunlight, laughed and said. Martial uncle, congratulations for your safe return. Wu Kaming too laughed and said. He was waiting here for 3 months, they couldn't help but admire Chen Shang. Much to their surprise, Chen Shang could stay down there for so long. In the past, he and Ji Yudongchen, at most, could just stay there for 1 month. Chen Shang told Ji Yudongchen and Wu Kaming about Xiao Ziliang, before he returned to the extreme Dan King courtyard, to take care of his spirit herbs. He had left 3 months before to participate in the Danxiang Taoyuan Grand Meeting, and once again in the Forbidden Land, he had spent 3 months with Huang Jintian. In this half year he often produced the golden dragon saliva, now he had already saved up a lot. Chen Shang intended to use it to nourish the resurrection grass and the 9 elemental flower. Moreover, he planned to use the 10 drops of the 10,000 years old spirit milk. He wanted to grow more resurrection grass and the 9 elemental flower quickly. Your teacher is very formidable. He should be from the undead family, which is a mystical family with infinite life. And also the family members also have the yin and yang veins, which is even more astonishing. Long Shui exclaimed again and again before she finally dared to speak. In the future, he can indeed become a legendary character, but hiding here is also ingenious. Su Meiyao said. Chen Shang quickly asked, have you heard of the suppressing devil divine exercise? It is the bottom-most skill among the 10 ancient, bizarre exercises. Neither it is hard to practice, nor it can be said to be overly useful. Besides being helpful in dealing with the natives of the demon and the devil world, it does not have any other uses. Bai Yuyu said. Chen Shang in his herb garden planted the resurrection grass and the 9 elemental flower, before cautiously pouring the golden dragon saliva upon them. The resurrection grass can grow grass seeds, and the 9 elemental grass could grow flower seeds. However, both need to be 10,000 years old. As long as they can grow these seeds, you can use these seeds to plant a bunch of them. It takes 5,000 years for them to mature. Su Meiyao said. She also had an understanding of the dragon saliva exercise. In the past, they had done this kind of stuff a lot of times, they were quite experienced in this. 3 days passed. A significant amount of the golden dragon saliva was used to water the resurrection grass and the 9 elemental flower before they were able to breed seeds, after which each of them produced 10 seeds. The resurrection grass and the 9 elemental flower can now be planted here by using these seeds. The spirit grasses and flowers can grow infinitely, moreover, the more they grew, the better they will be. Your azure profound tree is an example. Su Meiyao said. Chen Shang was secretly excited. He quickly planted the 5 resurrection grass and 5 9-elemental flower. Then Chen Shang used a significant amount of golden dragon saliva for watering, and soon the whole golden dragon saliva had been consumed. He had produced the golden dragon saliva for half a year, yet it didn't take him half a month to finish it. At this time, he had no choice but to use the 10,000 years spirit milk, because the 5 resurrection grass and 5 9-elemental flower were soon about to mature. So long as they mature, he could give it to Lu Menger. But he only had 5 white jade lotus seed, and he needed 1 for planting. However, he could replace it with the hell spirit grass. This way, he would have 5 set of the resurrection dance herbs. Once again 2 days had passed. Chen Shang had already run out of the 10,000 years spirit milk. Although he had completely consumed the golden dragon saliva and the 10,000 years old spirit milk, he was instead feeling very excited, because Chen Shang had successfully grown the resurrection grass and 5 9-elemental flower. Both of them were the essential herbs for the resurrection dan. If he had a little more time, he could even grow a lot of white jade lotus seed. Chen Shang had been holed up inside his herb garden. No matter who came to him, he had not gone to greet them, until he was finished with his business. He felt strange because Elder Dan had not appeared till now, as if Elder Dan had suddenly disappeared. Although she said she was going to seclude herself for a long time for training, Chen Shang still felt a little uncomfortable. When Elder Dan was present, he would not feel so bored. He could harass that mysterious and powerful girl all day. The resurrection grass, the 9-elemental flower, the white jade lotus seed, these were the main herbs for refining the resurrection dan. Chen Shang divided into 5 sets and placed them into 5 small jade boxes. In one box he used some hell spirit grass to replace the white jade lotus seed. He just walked out of the Extreme Dan King courtyard and planned to make a trip to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire to see Lu Menger. He saw Wu Kaming hastily flying towards him. Wu Kaming without speaking a word grabbed Chen Shang and flew towards the elder courtyard. It was as if there was something urgent. Stinking brat, you've made us wait for good several days. Ji Yu Dongchen upon seeing Chen Shang said immediately. Inside the elder courtyard, there were 10 people. He didn't recognize any of them, but he could sense that they were powerful true martial realm martial artists. Much to his surprise, they were all in 9th level true martial realm. Dean, I'm going to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire to find someone, it is very crucial. Chen Shang said. He wanted to hand over the herbs to Lu Menger quickly. Even more so, Huang Jintian's prediction of her nirvana tribulation was still in his hands. Chapter 336, The 100,000 Devil Mountain. The 100,000 Devil Mountain. Edited by I Ballistic Bunny and Fingerfox. Ji Yu Dongchen was confused. Chen Shang was going to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire to find someone. He already knew Chen Shang, and Lu Menger were very close, even to the point that they allied together to swindle him off of his crystal stones. However, Shui Shenxian was Chen Zhang's wife. Chen Shang might be visiting her, and there was nothing wrong with that. Wait here, the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire's Empress will arrive soon. You can just go with her. Now, I want to tell you something very crucial. After you've listened to it, you can go and pack your bags. Ji Yu Dongchen said. Chen Shang nodded his head. I think all of you should know about the catastrophe. Only the core disciples in selected sects are rather clear on this matter. The catastrophe is sure to come. However, you can't reveal it to others yet. Otherwise, the entire world will descend into chaos. Ji Yu Dongchen said. At this moment, 10 other elders arrived. To be more accurate, the catastrophe is also known as the Great Battle of 3 Realms from legend. You should not be unfamiliar with this, especially since this period has been recorded down very fiercely. Wu Kaming said. After the 10 9th level true martial realm martial artists heard this revelation, a shiver ran down through their entire body. They had already associated the catastrophe with the Great Battle of the 3 Realms, but it had yet to be confirmed. But now, according to Wu Kaming, it was all true. Unfortunately, there is a merged entrance in the Chenwu mainland, which is where the demons and devils would come. As such, our Chenwu mainland is under a lot of pressure. Ji Yu Dongchen heaved a sigh and said. Chen Shang learned from Long Shuiyi that he was in the mortal martial world. Among the various mortal worlds, this world was rather large. The mortal martial world had boundless sea and many mainlands. The Chenwu mainland was a rather prosperous mainland. Not only the population was rather large, it has a sect with an incredibly long history, the extreme martial sect. But an emerging point for the demon and the devil world happened to be on the Chenwu mainland, which was the sole entrance to the entire mortal martial world. It is said that the merged entrance was also in our Chenwu mainland last time around. However, that is a matter from 100,000 years ago. To be specific, the entrance is said to be at the 100,000 Devil Mountain. Ji Yudongchen once again stated, which made Chen Zhang's heart pound. After all, he was preparing to go the 100,000 Devil Mountain. Last time, when it merged, experts from various mainlands of the mortal martial world had gathered here. Together they had resisted the demons and the devils pouring in from the demon and the devil world. At that time, the battle was incredibly tragic. Many prominent experts of the mortal martial world had died, not to mention the loss of a lot of precious martial techniques, alchemy techniques, and so forth. And this history is going to be repeated. Listening to Ji Yudongchen, everyone knew that this time around it would surely be very miserable. Even Nirvana realm martial artists would fall, not to mention them, these little disciples. You're going to make a trip to the 100,000 Devil Mountain. You are going there to note the situation. Now the situation of the 100,000 Devil Mountain is dangerous. The last time, it was a brutal battlefield. The death of so many martial artists gave birth to the existence of souls, and now their power is gradually increasing. If the passage opened in advance, it will be absolutely impossible for the natives of the Chenwu mainland to resist the enemy. We Nirvana realm martial artists are going to contact the experts of various mainlands overseas and ask them to come here, then we will hold a hero convention of the mortal martial world. Chen Shang had always thought of 100,000 Devil Mountain as a sinister mountain. But much to his surprise, it was the legendary battlefield where the grand battle between the human world and the demon and the devil world took place 100,000 years ago. He now realized why Huang Jintian asked him to go there to take that thing. Chen Shang was rather more concerned with the hero convention. At that time experts from other mainlands would arrive. After all, the mortal martial world was vast, there were many mainlands. Surely, the visitors would be enormous in number, and also a lot of them would be powerful. You just have to observe the situation. There are already many strange situations that had arisen in the 100,000 Devil Mountain. So long as martial artists above the 9th level of true martial realm went there, wild shrieks and howls would burst forth. Even if we are concealing our cultivation, it is still no good. I once thought of forcefully entering it, but felt a very powerful resistance. Moreover, it also gave rise to earthquakes. Now various sects are sending 9th level true martial realm martial artists there to take note of the situation. That's why after you have arrived there, you have to be a little careful. If you encounter something you cannot resist, you have to retreat. Ji Yudongchen's final words were particularly heavy. He didn't want to sacrifice his disciples. Elder Wu, first take these 10 to the 100,000 Devil Mountain to understand the situation, let themselves adapt to the devil chi there. Chen Shang had already been to the southern wasteland, so it is not necessary for him. Chen Shang, you come with me. Ji Yudongchen left with Chen Shang and came to a secret residence. Chen Shang was only in the 5th level of the true martial realm, but Ji Yudongchen was sending him to the 100,000 Devil Mountain. There was definitely an underlying reason behind it. Young martial uncle, you have to go to the 100,000 Devil Mountain, are you afraid? Ji Yudongchen asked. He knew that as an alchemist, Chen Shang must have had a lot of things to do. Ji Yudongchen felt a little guilty about sending Chen Shang to such a dangerous place. Naturally, I'm not afraid. Clearly tell me what you have to say. Chen Shang indifferently replied. Even if Ji Yudongchen had not asked him to go, he would have gone. He needed to go and acquire the suppressing devil divine exercise. Okay, the situation inside the 100,000 Devil Mountain is incredibly strange. I suspect that the residual power of souls are being gathered, and are used by someone in an altar to do something like the situation before. Thereby in which they will create a fearsome barrier, rendering us Nirvana realm martial artists unable to enter. Ji Yudongchen looked solemn. He said in a low voice, if you can't find anything, set it on fire and incinerate everything there. I know young martial uncle's flame is extraordinary, it is full of extreme yang and unyielding. It should be extremely lethal towards devil chi. Chen Shang nodded his head. He just had to set fire on the mountain, that's all. As far as the 100,000 Devil Mountain was concerned, he was not a little bit afraid. He was only rather concerned about how useful the suppressing devil divine exercise would turn out to be. and if it would also prove to be tough to learn or not. I'll go alone, don't let the other senior brothers enter too far. To tell you the truth, when I went to the master, he told me to pay attention to the 100,000 Devil Mountain especially. He also requested me to head deeper and record the situation there. He said I could probably handle this. Chen Shang after some thinking came up with a reason. This way, he could act alone. Ji Yu Dongchen was shocked. He knew Huang Jintian could foresee future events, which was why he readily believed this spun-up tale. Good, I'll go greet the other sects. Lu Menger is coming here very soon, she should be coming for the junior sister. Lu Menger soon arrived. Her face was covered with a black muslin and was completely garbed in black clothes. Dressed in black, she appeared to be relatively inconspicuous. She shouldn't have come for Elder Dan, but rather Chen Shang. Ji Yu Dongchen found it a little strange. After all, why would Lu Menger come for Chen Shang? But he didn't ask anything and simply let Chen Shang take Lu Menger to the extreme Dan King courtyard. This was the first time Chen Shang had been alone with Lu Menger in the extreme martial sect. He could not help but have his thoughts wander. Only Chen Shang and Lu Menger were present in the extreme Dan King courtyard. Even Wu Qianchen was not there at the moment, she was receiving training in the King martial courtyard. She was not like Chen Shang, who had so many ways to elevate his strength. Sister Menger, you actually came to visit me. A mischievous smile was hung on Chen Zhang's face, as he gave a cup of tea Lu Menger. Suddenly, he kissed her face. Lu Menger felt extremely shy. Although it seemed like there was no one here, she still didn't entirely trust that. After all, it was still the extreme martial sect. Chapter 337, Hopeful Nirvana. Hopeful Nirvana. This chapter is sponsored by Isa Almusalam and Cornelius Delico. Thanks for your support. Lu Menger gave a twist on Chen Zhang's waist. She angrily said, little rascal. Sister Menger, last time, you left very quickly, and didn't give me the time to show my skill, it was really a pity. Chen Shang disappointedly sighed. Certainly, Lu Menger had seen Chen Zhang's performance and she was taken aback. She now had a deeper understanding of Chen Shang. She softly said, according to Shang Yu, brat, you really did stir up trouble this time. Which ended up in you annoying Xiao Ziliang. Chen Shang simply laughed and said, I'm not afraid of him, forget that, tell me, what made you come to me? Is Ji Yu Dongchen sending you to the 100,000 Devil Mountain? I came to stop him, it's very dangerous to go there now. Even though you're very powerful, you must not go, you must obediently cultivate. Lu Menger stood up, and with her beautiful hands caressed Chen Zhang's face. Last time, the southern wasteland was very dangerous. Moreover, the devil path guys might be inside, I'm worried about you. Realizing that Lu Menger was so concerned about him, Chen Shang felt touched. He smiled and said, Sister Menger, you don't have to worry about me. Even if he had not sent me there, I would still go. Hey, forget about that, I have got a gift for you. Chen Shang pinched Lu Menger's face, then mischievously smiled while taking out 5 jade boxes and placing them on the table. He said with a mysterious smile, Sister Menger, I had worked hard for several months to get these things. Lu Menger reckoned there were herbs inside. Chen Shang had stayed in the Forbidden Land for 3 months. During this period, she had visited extreme martial sect for Chen Shang twice. However, Ji Yu Dongchen told her that Chen Shang had gone into closed-door training. Lu Menger opened the first jade box. The moment she opened her eyes, resurrection grass, the 9 elemental flower, and a white jade lotus seed came into her view. However, she wasn't surprised because Chen Shang himself had a white jade lotus seed, he had already said that he was going to give it to her. She was moved. In the past, she had refused because she felt it was more important for Chen Shang. The white jade lotus seed if directly eaten was still very useful. Noticing the affectionate look in Lu Menger's eyes, Chen Shang scratched his head twice. An honorable empress was looking at him with such expression, his face was flushed red. He was extremely excited. Looking at his appearance, Lu Menger sweetly smiled and said, little rascal, you keep it for yourself. You're an alchemist, it is rather more useful for you. Chen Shang with a mysterious look, continued, there are still more, continue looking. Lu Menger was secretly curious, what other gifts has Chen Shang prepared for her? She opened the other jade box. This time she was stupefied. Because yet again it was the resurrection grass, the 9 elemental flower, and the white jade lotus seed. Those were the 3 most important herbs for refining the resurrection Dan. Gathering a complete set was tough, not to mention, 2 set. The Resurrection Dan was a high-grade Earth-level Dan, which in the Chenwu mainland was incredibly rare. Lu Menjie could not understand how Chen Shang got the herbs. She looked at the mischievously smiling Chen Shang in shock. Much to her surprise, Chen Shang once again indicated her to continue opening the other jade box. After Lu Menjie had opened the third jade box, she was completely stupefied. Because she found yet another set of herbs for the Resurrection Dan. Her voluptuous bosom was heaving up and down. She was really touched. Chen Shang gifts were too expensive. At this time, she felt Chen Zhang's deep feelings for her. After she had calmed down, she continued opening the fourth box. This time she was already prepared, but inevitably she was still surprised with another set of herbs. She was sure that the final box would also have the same. After she opened the fifth box, she closed her eyes, took a long deep breath. Yet again, she was presented with 3 main herbs for refining the Resurrection Dan. However, the Hell Spirit Grass had replaced the white jade lotus seed. Chen Shang walked over, hugged the enthralling moist-eyed beauty, and gently said, "I don't want to lose you, you have to successfully cross the Nirvana tribulation." Lu Menjie also tightly embraced Chen Shang, placed her face on Chen Zhang's chest, sighed and asked, "Little rascal, you knew. These are 5 resurrection dans if Hua Shangyu did her best. It should be enough. You don't have to worry too much about it later, now you'll definitely be able to cross the Nirvana tribulation." Chen Shang encouraged her. The Nirvana tribulation really had me horrified. You'll understand it later. I just didn't want to make you broken-hearted, so I was avoiding you. Lu Menjie said in a low voice. Chen Shang smiled and took out the yin and yang ball that was given by Huang Jintian to her. Within which was something regarding what would occur during Lu Menjie's Nirvana tribulation. "What is it?" After Lu Menjie had seen it, she asked with a frown. "Take it and integrate it with your mind. For this thing, I had suffered a lot of bitterness." Chen Shang was speaking the truth. Lu Menjie guessed it was an inheritance bead-like thing, with which one could learn some powerful martial technique. She immediately followed Chen Zhang's suggestion, took the yin and yang ball, and released her divine sense. In a moment, the yin and yang ball disappeared, as an entirely surprised look manifested upon her face. This is. Lu Menjie was left speechless from shock. Because now she evidently knew what she was going to face in her 7th Nirvana tribulation. If she knew this, it would be a lot easier to face it. The Nirvana tribulation was frightening in one regard, and that was, you didn't know what kind of tribulation it was. Even if you had the ability to face it, you would be tortured to death by the various suddenly coming tribulations. "Don't speak." Chen Shang quickly stopped her. "You are not allowed to say, only you can know." Lu Menjie immediately nodded her head. She suppressed her voice and asked, "Little rascal, ultimately what is your relationship with Huang Jintian?" "I've been told by my parents, that he can predict things about the Nirvana tribulation." Chen Shang had been imprisoned inside the famed Forbidden Land of the extreme martial sect, and Huang Jintian was always inside the Forbidden Land. She had also noticed that Chen Shang happened to have a yin and yang divine vein. By putting the two together, she had been sure that Chen Shang had some relation with Huang Jintian. Chen Shang just sighed. Lu Menjie also lightly sighed. "Rest assured, I'll definitely protect you." Lu Menjie was now sure, Chen Shang and Huang Jintian were master and apprentice. She was very clear about Huang Jintian's matter from the past because her mother and father had once mentioned it to her. "Sister Menjie, I've given you so many gifts. How are you going to thank me?" Chen Shang with one arm tightly hugged Lu Menjie, while a lascivious smile appeared on his face. Lu Menjie's beautiful face slightly turned red. She closed her eyes, gradually raised her head, and passionately started kissing Chen Shang. Initially, Lu Menjie intended not to meet with Chen Shang, until she had crossed the Nirvana tribulation. But once she came to learn about the 100,000 Devil Mountains matter, she had been anxious that Chen Shang would go to investigate. Lu Menjie simply could not sit still. She immediately came to find Chen Shang. But much to her surprise, Chen Shang was instead worried about losing her during the Nirvana tribulation. At this point, Lu Menjie was completely open. She affectionately kissed Chen Shang. Lu Menjie herself didn't know how long she and Chen Shang had been kissing. She suddenly felt an arm kneading her bosom, as if an electric current went through her tender body and she couldn't help but shake. She instinctively drew back. "Little rascal, you are getting increasingly lewd. From whom have you learned this?" Lu Menjie angrily said. "Who taught him?" Chen Shang thought this was obvious. Why would he need someone else to teach him this? He thought a woman's bosom was originally for a man to touch, otherwise, why would they grow so big? Moreover, also feel so good to touch. Chapter 338. The Catastrophe's Mouth. The Catastrophe's Mouth. And Moxie. Lu Menger seemed not too knowledgeable with regards to things between a man and a woman. Although she knew that some things would naturally happen, she had yet to prepare her heart. She was confused on how to face this. After all, she and Chen Shang were currently having an affair. Moreover, she was also hoodwinking her own apprentice. Thinking of this, Lu Menger's mood turned very complicated. She was worried that she would be hated by Shenxian. Noticing the blush on Lu Menger's face suddenly disappear and replaced by a helpless look, Chen Shang realized that Lu Menger was thinking of something. Sister Menger, I just wanted to touch your rabbits. I could not bear it anymore. I'm sorry, Chen Shang said with a lascivious smile on his face. He didn't want Lu Menger to keep on thinking about those complicated things. Although he too was in a complex relationship. This was very sinful. Lu Menger pouted again and again. She lightly rammed her delicate fist on Chen Zhang's chest. Little rascal, you rascal. You can never mention this again. Seeing this high and mighty queen turn into such a shy woman, Chen Shang was filled with emotions. He grabbed Lu Menger, held her and made her sat on his lap. Sister Menger, how are Shenxian and Yulin? Chen Shang turned a little honest. Otherwise, this beauty would be out of his embrace. Those brats are cultivating in the forbidden area of the Icewind Valley. They should be out before the start of the hero congregation. Lu Menger leaned on Chen Zhang's chest and played with a white jade lotus seed. Where did you get these herbs? Especially the white jade lotus seed, it can only be found in the Lotus Island. In the past, Lian Yingxiao was chasing me, so I had been reluctant to buy it from him. Chen Shang informed Lu Menger about his fight with Lian Changyan. He also gave her 3 fire dragon blood lotus. Lu Menger was delighted, one was for her, and the other 2 for Shui Shenxian and Leng Yulin. Sister Menger, you must be a little kind to those girls, Chen Shang said. Both of them are my apprentices, they are like my family. Naturally, I'll be good to them. You should be a little careful in the 100,000 Devil Mountain. Lu Menger realized Chen Shang must have some other reason to visit the 100,000 Devil Mountain, and no matter what, she couldn't stop him. However, she was still worried. Chen Shang caressed her face, smiled and said, "Give me a kiss, I may be gone for some time." Lu Menger bowed her head and whispered, "You're not allowed to touch." After she had finished speaking, she raised her head, wrapped her arms around Chen Zhang's neck, and the two began kissing each other again. At night, Chen Shang sent Lu Menger out of the extreme Dan King courtyard. Just as Lu Menger left, God knows where Ji Yu Dongchen jumped out. "Young martial uncle, why did Lu Menger came looking for you?" "She had come for you a couple of times already," Ji Yu Dongchen curiously asked while staring at Chen Shang. Chen Shang had not expected that Lu Menger would so boldly come for him. He was unable to think of some good reason. She came to discuss some things about my wife. Also there is the matter of disappearance of the secular world." A sad look appeared on Chen Zhang's face. The disappearance of the secular world had indeed worried him because his father was still there. "Oh, you know about the secular world? Don't worry, it has only disappeared temporarily. However, you would not need so much time to discuss these, from noon till night." Ji Yu Dongchen was deeply suspicious of Chen Zhang's and Lu Menger's relation. Chen Shang forcefully coughed, "Little featherhead, why are you bitching so much? Young martial uncle, you have to answer honestly. Last time, when you sold the building foundation Dan, wasn't Lu Menger intentionally raising the price?" Thinking of this, Ji Yu Dongchen was burning in anger. Chen Shang knew that he could not hide this affair any longer. Because during the auctioning of the elemental spirit Dan, Lu Menger was intentionally raising the price against Yu Zhonglin. That was because I wanted to earn some crystal stones. Who asked you to act so destitute in front of me? Think of it more as your martial uncle punishing you. Chen Shang emphasized on the martial uncle. Ji Yu Dongchen snorted in a low voice, "I don't believe that you and Lu Menger can be so close just because she is related to your wife. Such a proud woman to do that kind of thing, and she even came looking for you not only once but twice. Little featherhead, if you dare to speak any more nonsense, I will ask the old madman to straighten you up." Chen Shang quickly interrupted Ji Yu Dongchen. Ji Yu Dongchen had not grown old just like that. If he still couldn't notice their relation even after all of this, then he had lived for nothing. Getting such a big reaction from Chen Shang, Ji Dongshan ambiguously smiled, "Young martial uncle, you're so awesome." Lian Yingxiao, that handsome guy, no matter what he did, he still failed to get his hands on her, yet she had been obtained by you. How in the hell did you succeed? Chen Shang realized that Ji Dongshan had noticed his and Lu Menger's relationship. He calmed down and dismissively said, "This is your martial uncle's charm. I did not use any means. Now that I don't need to conceal anything from you, Hua Shangyu, that little bitch is always pestering me. But as you know, I have a wife, so I've refused her. Didn't you see, last time she brought me back, she happened to be angry." Seeing Chen Zhang's flamboyant appearance, Ji Dongshan could not help but grind his teeth in secret. In his heart, he thought, "She is wasted on this piece of garbage, is there no God? Keep it a secret. If you speak of this to anyone, you'll live the rest of your life in the shadows of that old madman." Chen Shang's words proved to be useful. A shiver of fear hit Ji Dongshan. Huang Jintian was his nightmare. He quickly nodded his head. Although Ji Dongshan found it absurd that an honorable empress would hook up with the little rascal, Chen Shang, however, after thinking of himself and Wu Kaming acting all respectful to Chen Shang, he didn't find it strange. But he still couldn't forget the fact that an extraordinary and prominent beauty had been taken by Chen Shang, and this disturbed his mind. What was even more sinister was the fact that both master and apprentice had been taken by Chen Shang. It's really unfair. Ji Dongshan was walking on the road, and he could not help but let out a light sigh. Chen Shang knew that if he immediately went to the 100,000 Devil Mountain, it would be extremely dangerous. That was why he planned to enter the 6th level of the true martial realm before going. He now had 9 5 elements true elemental Dan, which, for him, was enough to enter a new stage. After going through the hell training of Huang Jintian, his foundation had already been solidified. He now realized that if he quickly wanted to progress using Dans, he must often pay a visit to Huang Jintian to consolidate his cultivation. Otherwise, it would be detrimental to him. The great battle of the 3 realms spread to every world of the 3 domains, the human domain, the devil domain, and the demon domain. The natives of the demon and the devil world were rather aggressive in nature, large in numbers, as well as stronger. They would certainly be rushing to the human worlds. The Chenwu mainland was a gateway for the demon and the devil world. All the Nirvana realm martial artists were under enormous pressure. The residents of the Chenwu mainland were leading their normal life. They were totally oblivious to the brutality of the imminent catastrophe. Even if they knew about it, they were under little or no pressure. To stop the disaster, the human world could only rely on the powerful martial artists. Chapter 339. Step into the Devil Mountain. Step into the Devil Mountain. Hi guys. Happy Valentine's Day. Sorry for the delay, I was struck with a viral fever and was hospitalized with no access to my computer. Sorry for the inconvenience. With regards, Ash. And once again enjoy your date with your Valentine. Chen Shang felt that it was very difficult for him to step into the 6th level of the true martial realm now. He had swallowed 9 5 elements true elemental Dan. Although they could provide him a large amount of true qi, it was far from enough. After arduously compressing the endless amount of true qi, he was only successful in lighting up 40 true elemental grains. Chen Shang needed to light up 50 true elemental grains every level, only then would he be able to break through to the next level. Now he was still short by 10 grains. In the later stages, he would need a larger amount of true qi to compress. Without any choice, Chen Shang had to eat all the building foundation dans in his hands, and even a large amount of true elemental dans. Otherwise, he would be unable to break through in such a short time. He was in possession of so many resources, it was already astonishing. After all, the others relied on sect distribution for their resources. As for searching or earning on their own, it needed a lot of time, not to mention, it was too risky. After 10 days, Chen Shang had used a large number of dans and finally broke through to the 6th level of the true martial realm. During the breakthrough, he felt the power coursing through his body. Not only was his true qi astonishingly vigorous than the past, even his body was a little stronger. However, he had consumed all of his building foundation dans and the 5 elements true elemental dan, and an astounding number of true elemental dans. These past 10 days, he was eating dans like taking his meals. He now came to realize why the formidable true martial realm martial artists in a sect were all very old. Because only someone like him, who could eat dans crazily, can advance quickly, the sect even more so didn't have so many resources, which they still had to uniformly distribute among other disciples. After calculating for a while, Chen Shang realized that he had surprisingly consumed 20,000 true elemental dans in these 10 days, which were equivalent to 1 million crystal stones. Yet their potency was not as good as the 10 elements true elemental dans. If he was not so anxious to enter the 6th level of the true martial realm, he would not have been so prodigal. After spending about half a day in his herb garden, Chen Shang left the extreme Dan King courtyard. After notifying Ji Yudongchen, he quietly left for the 100,000 Devil Mountains. Disciples of many other sects had already went to investigate, but much to no avail, they had no results. Even Ji Yudongchen-like martial artists had no way to go deep into the 100,000 Devil Mountains, they would be forcefully blocked. Evidently, there was a very powerful array or some barrier-like thing inside. The 100,000 Devil Mountains was spread on a vast piece of land. The Devil Province was also just around it. The natives of the Devil Province were all a bunch of Devil Path martial artists who very much yearned for the Devil Domain. They were the group of people who had received guidance from the natives of Devil Domain and cultivated the Devil Path. The Devil Province was next to the sea and connected to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire and the Proud Sword Sect. After Chen Shang left the Tianmen city, he entered a deserted forest and turned into a small bird using the 72 transformations before flying towards the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. Even though he was a little slower after turning into a bird, it was relatively safer. Although the other sects had declared that they were not going to hold him responsible for the past deeds, and even the bounty has been removed, but he still had to be vigilant. And not to forget, those Devil Path martial artists hated him to be the very bone, he needed to be even more careful. After turning into a bird, he had nothing to be afraid of, even if he encountered some storm or anything. Because he could utilize the power of true martial realm 6th level to fly, which was completely different than an ordinary bird. Little rascal, are you going look for Sister Menger in the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire? Long Shui tenderly laughed and said. Even though she appeared to a little girl, her brain was full of evil thoughts. No, I will probably not be able to restrain myself and turn into a bird and peek at her bathing. Chen Shang completely laid out his mind. Especially when turning into a bird and peeking at her, this idea had been lingering in his mind and wouldn't go away no matter what, because, to be honest, it would be extremely easy. This dragon is going to be watching you. You better not use this sacred spiritual power to do perverted things. Long Shui tenderly snorted and said. Little dragon, aren't you doing perverted things too? Chen Shang said in contempt. After 6 days of continuous flying, Chen Shang finally flew over the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. It was a small town near the 100,000 Devil Mountains. The residents of this town found it strange that a bunch of people would come from time to time. However, they didn't know that there was something strange brewing inside the 100,000 Devil Mountains. The 100,000 Devil Mountains was the entrance to the human world which the demons and devils used 100,000 years ago. There were as many as 100,000 mountains here, which had been covered in the blood of many demons and devils. Even many devils and demons had been buried here, and hence its name was 100,000 Devil Mountains. Chen Shang flew high in the sky. Far away a large piece of land was shrouded in white mist, rendering it difficult for anyone to see. It can be said to be an ocean of mountains, all kinds of strangely shaped mountain could be found here, it looked very spectacular. Especially looking at it from high in the sky. Many of the mountain were so high that they were piercing through the sky, even clouds weren't able to stop their reaches. It's just the outer ring of the 100,000 Devil Mountains, that's why you can't see any devil chi fluctuations whatsoever. These mountains are spread in quite a big area, you will need to fly for at least half a day before you could cross the outer ring. Long Shui said. Chen Shang flew low, searching for the trail indicated on the map that was given by Huang Jintian. Very soon he found a camel-like big mountain, which was the very marker indicated on the map. After finding the marker, he could finally follow the route in accordance with the map. Now it was just a matter of time before he could finally find the location of the suppressing devil divine exercise. If he was walking down the road open and above board, Chen Shang would still have no problem in dealing with the strange creatures in the 100,000 Devil Mountains. He has a wide set of skills and not to mention the heavenly sunfire spirit which was extremely lethal to them. In case if he chose to walk deceitfully, he was even more formidable. Just take a look at it now, who would have thought that such a small bird was a human? Especially because of this ability, he had little or no pressure at all. It was quite easy for him to fly into the 100,000 Devil Mountains. He was not here to fight but was responsible for noting the strange things happening here, and also look for the suppressing devil divine exercise in the process. In order to have the strength to survive the catastrophe, it was absolutely necessary for him to learn the suppressing devil divine exercise. After entering the 100,000 Devil Mountains, Chen Shang flew very quickly. Very soon he found other sect disciples. From their conversation, Chen Shang came to know they were from the true martial sect, and also realized that they have been blindly wandering here for 2 weeks. They had not investigated anything, yet they kept complaining and being assigned to do such trivial stuff. Most of the sent disciples were in true martial realm 9th level, which was the level in which they had to exert all their strength to find the opportunity to break through to the extreme state. Time for them was of the essence. Bunch of fools, they have intentionally been lured here, I reckon they will soon encounter an ambush. Chen Shang, from their conversation realized that these people had encountered an attack, and were being chased along the road. Moreover, they had also killed one from the opposite party. They were up against the disciples of the Devil Path sect, and currently they had been following the blood trial of an injured Devil sect disciples for a long time. As true to Chen Zhang's words, he soon found many men hidden among the trees in the vicinity of the true martial sect's disciples. Just like what he had encountered in the southern wasteland. Since these guys so love to hide in the trees, I'll let them forever be buried inside it. Chen Shang flew to a very dense tree, turned into his original appearance before taking out the demanding life devil bow. Chen Shang did not intend to help the true martial sect's disciples because they were all 9th level true martial realm martial artists. They were more than enough to deal with these devil sect disciples, however, it was under the case that they did not found out about the ambush. Chen Shang had already been extremely proficient in using the demanding life devil bow. He shot at a big tree. An immediate explosion soon followed Chen Zhang's shot. A mist of blood soon dispersed in the forest, the devil sect disciple hiding inside the tree had already been smashed to pieces. In next to no time, the true martial sect disciples found out. They hastily took out their weapons and became vigilant. Chapter 340, The Army of Demon and Devil. The Army of Demon and Devil. Chen Shang shot 2 more arrows and killed 2 men hiding inside the trees, turned into a little bird and flew away. The true martial sect's disciples didn't know who acted secretly, but they realized the intention of other guy clearly, and that was to remind them that they were walking into an ambush and the attackers were hiding inside those thriving trees. After the ambushers realized that the true martial sect's disciples were vigilant, the devil sect disciples fled from the trees in quick succession. Just a moment ago they had witnessed 3 of their fellow men mysteriously blown into a mist of blood, rendering their numbers too low to even deal with the true martial sect's disciples. And if the hidden assailant once again made them lose few more of them, they would be finished completely. Once the devil sect disciples fled, they left a trail behind them. The true martial sect's disciples didn't give chase, they were worried that the enemy might intentionally wanted to separate them and attack the one who was slower than the rest, that's why they all gathered around. After Chen Shang turned into a bird, he had a clear view of everything. After discovering that these devil disciples were fleeing, he immediately followed 2 of them. Inside these 100,000 Devil Mountains, many strange things were happening. Now that Chen Shang had encountered these devil sect disciples, Chen Shang reckoned that these devil path disciples must know something. According to Ji Yu Dongchen, inside the 100,000 Devil Mountains, there was something blocking their advance. Only martial artists under the extreme state could enter easily. In other words, it is similarly true for the Devil Path sect. That was why he was not afraid of encountering some powerful Devil Path tycoon, not to mention he was now just a small bird. By looking at the speed and the way they were shuttling around the forest, it was quite clear that the 2 Devil Sect disciples were extremely familiar with the forest. As the Devil Province was nearby, it was obvious that the Devil Sect disciples would often visit here. The deep recess of the 100,000 Devil Mountains was very dangerous. Even those Devil Path Sect's tycoons didn't dare to enter. It was quite similar to the southern wasteland, who knows what demon or devil was sleeping inside. Those Devil Sect disciples who ran away, after making a big round of the forest, unexpectedly, they started to gather. There were a total of 15 men, and all of them wore a black robe, and had a hood upon their heads. Their realms varied from 1st level to the 7th level of the true martial realm. Who the fuck attacked our people? That guy is certainly not a true martial sect's disciple. We have painstakingly spent so many days just to lure those guys, and just when we were about to be successful, some dumb fuck has destroyed our plan. A man cursed. That man must be an expert assassin. We could not find his trail at all, even his attacks were quick yet very strong. We must return and report it to the captain ASAP. A man spoke before he started running. Others too started following him. Chen Shang remembered that the direction they were walking was towards the depths of the 100,000 Devil Mountains. He hesitated for a moment, before giving them a chase. Although he had the appearance of a bird, he still had to be careful. After all, these devil sect disciples were all powerful experts of true martial realm. If they discovered that a bird had been following them for so long, they would definitely be suspicious. Chen Shang followed them for an hour or so. Their running speed was not so fast, as they were mainly paying attention to the surrounding, they were extremely cautious. Now they have already entered the foggy area. It was the very same mist which Chen Shang had seen from the outside. When he entered the foggy area, he couldn't find anything strange. According to Ji Yudongchen, this area is covered in a sheet of dense fog all year round. Aren't the invaders from the demon and the devil world not going to attack the devil path martial artists? Chen Shang was finding it a little difficult to believe. At present, the devil path men were moving against the righteous, rather than to increase their strength. Of course not. It depends on the temperament of the demons and devils invading our world. If it was a bunch of idiots who only know how to kill, then no matter if it is the devil path or the righteous, they will kill whoever they see. But if it is a bunch of intelligent guys, then they will win over the diabolical forces of this world bit by bit, and completely control the invading world. They will enslave the natives to mine the various resources of the world. Su Meiyao said. The demons and the devils would not be invading the human world for no benefits. Chen Shang came to realize why every time, so many people would always die. Chen Shang followed the devil sect disciples to a well-hidden cave. Once he arrived at the entrance of the cave, he sensed a few powerful aura inside. Much to his surprise, there were actually 5 9th-level true martial realm devil sect disciples. We have been here for almost a month, yet we could not even get a single righteous disciple's hair. Let's withdraw quickly. We have almost investigated the strange things happening here. A man said in a heavy voice. After Chen Shang came to hear this, he was slightly taken aback. Much to his dismay, the devil sect disciples had already investigated the things about the 100,000 Devil Mountains. So to say, it had nothing to do with the devil path sects. What a pity. I'm afraid that the righteous guys could not even imagine that 3,000 years ago a powerful devil prince was already resurrected and was now awake, and he is the one who had arranged a powerful barrier to guard this place. And it is this barrier which is restricting the Nirvana realm martial artists to come in and ravage this place. Another guy lamented. Chen Shang was startled. If this place remained fortified till the catastrophe, wouldn't the demons and the devils invade altogether, and finally ravage the Chenwu mainland to nothing, at one fell swoop? The breach in space were generally not that big. The invaders from the demon and the devil world can only come slowly. You can simply attack them from the outside. But if a bunch of them gathered together, then it would be too frightening. Bai Yu exclaimed. Now there is already a very small breach, from which some weak demons and devils are able to pass through. A devil sect disciples once again said. This information shocked the hell out of Chen Shang. According to Chen Zhang's estimation, there was still a long time before the rift would appear. But contrary to his expectation, one was already there. After some discussion, the devil sect disciples decided not to ambush the righteous sect disciples. They all chose to withdraw because there was still the matter of a powerful devil prince, who is searching for some demons and devils who can be resurrected, in order to create a demon and devil army in advance. Although there is a rift, but an extremely powerful guy cannot come over. Otherwise, the spatial force will sense him, and he will be torn to shreds. The weak creatures naturally didn't have to fear anything. You must quickly find the suppressing devil divine exercise, then by using the heavenly sunfire, ravage everything here. Those little creatures dread that kind of flames. Su Meiyao discovered it was more serious than they had imagined. No one had imagined the resurrection of a powerful devil prince. A devil prince from 100,000 years ago. Who knows how powerful he was? Chen Shang could not even imagine. Even more so, a devil prince who could even be resurrected should not be some ordinary guy. He definitely must have some terrifying devil techniques. When he thought of this, Chen Shang felt powerless. What made him depressed was that the suppressing devil divine exercise was hidden in the depths of the 100,000 Devil Mountains. If a lot of devil princes had been resurrected, then along with many little demons and devils, it was definitely going to be very difficult for him to get it. After passing through a canyon, the fog was, even more, denser, but Chen Shang didn't sense any devil qi. Evidently, it was safe here. If it was some place with rich devil qi, then it would be place where a large number of demons and devils were buried. Those weak devils coming here need to rely on the very same devil qi to increase their strength. After Chen Shang cautiously flew for 3 days. Suddenly, a terrifying roar came from the front, as if hundreds of thousands of men were roaring simultaneously. This roar was filled with violence and was creepy as well as intimidating.